Chapter 561. What should we do? What should we do? Inside the Seven Seas King's mansion, Tang Lu was fidgeting restlessly. His hands were trembling as he held a teacup and the tea almost spilled out. Tang Tian, who was beside him, wasn't any better. His face was pale as he said, Lin Muyu actually attacked the Firefinch division. Grandfather, if he and Xiao Han investigate together, second brother and I will be found out sooner or later. Tang Lan leaned on her walking stick and looked at her two good-for-nothing grandsons indifferently. What are you panicking about? Do you have any irrefutable evidence in the hands of Xiao Han or Lin Muyu? That's not true. Tang Lu said, but Xiao Han heard our negotiation with the demon race. Once he reports us, I'm afraid. Report you? Tang Lan said in a low voice, there's no concrete evidence. What right does he have to report you? Xiao Han can't bear the crime of falsely accusing Marquis Lin Bei and Marquis Lin Shi. Why are you two so impatient? If the enemy doesn't move, we won't move. How can you achieve anything great by being so flustered? I'm so disappointed. Tang Lu said, but grandfather, what should we do now? What else can we do? Tang Lan's eyes were filled with deep disappointment. It's a pity that Xiaoxi is inseparable from the Empress. Otherwise she might be able to help. Yes. Tang Tian nodded repeatedly. He had completely lost his composure. At this moment an official walked in and said respectfully, Your Highness, the son-in-law of Marquis Pingnan Xiangyu requests an audience. Tang Lan looked up and said, Invite Marquis Pingnan in. Yes. Xiangyu walked in travel-worn. Beside him was Princess Wei Tang Wei, who was also his newlywed wife. Tang Wei had a blissful smile on her face. It seemed that she and Xiangyu had just gotten married and were deeply in love with each other. Xiangyu pays his respects to Your Highness. Although Xiangyu was already the son-in-law of the Tang family, he still didn't dare to be arrogant. He knelt on one knee and paid his respects. Marquis Pingnan, please rise. Tang Lan raised her hand and said, You two seem to be in a hurry. What's the matter? Xiangyu replied, Naturally, it's because of the Fire Sparrow division. There are rumors that the two young masters Tang Lu and Tang Tian are secretly in contact with the demon race. Lin Muyu and Feng Jixing are currently investigating this matter. I'm not sure if it's true. Tang Lu was startled and laughed. Brother-in-law, what are you saying? Why would Tang Tian and I do such a thing? Xiangyu said indifferently, Young masters, there's no need to hide it from me at this time. Xiangyu is Princess Wei's husband and can already be considered half a member of the Tang clan. If the Tang clan doesn't trust me, I'm afraid. Tang Lan raised her hand and said, Marquis Pingnan, don't be angry. This matter still needs to be considered at length. It seems like the rumors outside are true. Xiangyu narrowed his eyes and said with a smile, Your Highness, has our Tang clan really contacted the devil race in private? It can't be considered a private meeting. It's just a transaction. Tang Lan's voice was very calm as she said, The Tang clan's influence in North Ridge province is declining day by day. If nothing unexpected happens, it won't be long before Her Highness the Empress will eliminate our influence one by one from Lanyan City. Although we are officials, we must also consider our own future. Xiangyu said, Yes, but I don't know what kind of transaction it was. If it's just to kill a governor of Tsangnan province, I'm afraid it's not enough. Tang Lan said, Naturally, it's not just this. But this time the matter was actually exposed. It's all because of these two good-for-nothing descendants of the Tang clan who were too careless. Sigh, it really disappoints me. Grandfather. Tang Lu and Tang Tian's faces were full of shame and they couldn't speak. Xiangyu smiled and said, Your Highness, I've seen Xiao Han before. He's a cautious and meticulous person. It's very difficult for those who are targeted by him to escape. This matter can't be completely blamed on the two young masters. Tang Lan said, Lin Muyu and Feng Jixing are investigating the Fire Sparrow division. Sooner or later Tang Lu and Tang Tian's matter will be implicated. The two of them are the last of our Tang clan's male bloodline. We absolutely cannot lose them. We must think of a method that satisfies both sides. Marquis Pingnan, do you have any brilliant plan? It can't be considered a brilliant plan. It's just a last resort. Please speak. Xiangyu cupped his fists and said, Your Highness, since Lin Muyu and Feng Jixing are investigating the Fire Sparrow division, there's no need for us to panic. Let's just pretend this matter didn't happen. It's almost time for the spring recruitment. Your Highness, why don't you send the 2 young masters to the Seven Seas province to recruit soldiers? At the same time, order them to take charge of the Seven Seas province's military. After taking charge of the military, Lin Muyu and Feng Jixing naturally won't be able to do anything to the 2 young masters. This is like letting the tiger return to the mountain. It should be able to solve this urgent problem. Good, that's exactly what I was thinking. Tang Lon smiled and said, Tang Lu, Tang Tun, the 2 of you listen up. Immediately take my Tang clan's iron order and head to the Seven Seas province to command the troops. Remember, the Seven Seas province has close to 300,000 new and old soldiers. The 2 of you must train the troops diligently. Don't slack off. If you continue to play around and mess things up, I definitely won't let you off lightly. Many thanks, Grandfather. Tang Lu and Tang Tian knelt down at the same time and said, We won't disappoint Grandfather again. Tang Lon glanced at Xiang Yu intentionally or unintentionally, and the corners of his mouth curled up as he said, Depart in 3 days. Yes. How about Marquis Pingnan stay behind for a reunion dinner? Yes. Late at night, Xiang Yu and Tang Wei both left the Seven Seas Lord's palace with their guards and returned to their own residences, whereas the lights in Tang Lan's room were still dim. Tang Lu and Tang Tian stood at the side and watched Tang Lon sip his tea. Finally, Tang Lu lost his patience and said, Grandfather, when exactly did you summon the 2 of us here in the middle of the night? Tang Lan's aged eyes looked at the 2 of them and said, After the 5th watch, the 2 of you change into casual clothes and depart. Go out of the small western gate of Lanyan City and find the Tang clan's barracks 5 kilometers away. Dispatch 5,000 armored cavalry to accompany you and depart. You must leave Lanyan City at daybreak and must arrive at the Seven Seas Pass before sunset the day after tomorrow. Understand? Tang Lu was taken aback. But Grandfather, didn't you say we'll depart in 3 days? Why are you in such a hurry? Little brother Tian and I still have many things to pack. Don't pack. When you arrive at Seven Seas Pass, what will you lack? Tang Lon looked at his 2 grandsons and said, The 2 of you are the last hope of the Tang clan. I can't let the 2 of you lose your lives in Lanyan City. The 2 of you must live up to expectations and cannot continue living in such a muddle-headed manner. Look at Lin Muyu and Feng Jixing. They are about the same age as the 2 of you, but they can already assume responsibility and assume the position of commander of the Empire's army. The 2 of you, if the 2 of you don't live up to expectations, the Tang clan will really be finished. Tang Tian nodded. Grandfather, we understand. We'll depart at the 5th watch. Remember to change into casual clothes and leave from the back door of the residence. Don't alarm anyone. Just the 2 of you leaving the city will be enough. I've already established a connection with the guards at the city gate. They will naturally let you out of the city. Yes, I understand. Tang Lu knelt on the ground and raised his head to look at Tang Lon. His body was slightly trembling as he said, Grandfather, Tang Lu also hopes to be able to carry the Tang clan's foundation, and I also hope to be able to become even stronger. I know that it's very difficult for Grandfather to support it all by himself, but please believe me. Little brother Tian and I will surely become even stronger, and we won't disappoint Grandfather. Go. Tang Lon waved his hand and said, I won't see you off. The 2 of you must take care of yourselves. The future of the Tang clan lies in the hands of the 2 of you. Don't let me down. Yes. After the 5th watch, 2 fast horses hurriedly left the back door of the Tang residence and disappeared into the night in the blink of an eye. After passing through the west gate of Lanyan City, the sky had already begun to brighten. After entering the Tang clan's camp in the west of the city, a general came forward to welcome them. He cupped his fists and said, General Tang Su has received orders from His Highness. The 5,000 light cavalrymen are ready to depart at any time. Young masters, should we depart immediately? Let's depart. Tang Lu nodded his head. After experiencing the events of last night, he seemed to have matured a lot in an instant. In his and Tang Tian's memories, Tang Lon was always so smart and capable and in control of everything. But just last night, Tang Lu saw an aged and helpless expression on his grandfather's face. He felt extremely distressed. Tang Lon was old and was powerless. The future of the Tang clan could only depend on themselves. Tang Su raised his long whip and loudly said, Brothers, let's depart. We will escort the 2 young masters back to the Seven Seas province. We will take the small path and avoid the official road. The majestic cavalrymen stirred up a cloud of dust. Everyone avoided the main road and passed through the small path. This group of light cavalrymen were all equipped with crossbows and spears. They could be considered the most elite troops of the Tang clan. At this time, this army also carried Tanglan's last hope. The army galloped through the forest until sunset. They rested at the edge of the forest, fed the horses, and didn't rest after eating a full meal. They once again mounted their horses and madly galloped in the direction of the Seven Seas Pass. Although Tang Lu didn't understand the art of war, he knew that speed was important in war. The faster he moved, the safer he would be. After all, Lin Muyu and Feng Jixing might not be aware that he and Tang Tian had already left Lanyan City. The curtain of night descended. In the middle of the night, a bright moon hung in the sky, illuminating the forest in all directions. It seemed to bring a trace of precious warmth to the chilly forest. Tang Lu had an exhausted expression as he spurred his horse to gallop swiftly. At the side, Tang Tian spoke with slight anger. "Second brother, why are we marching like this? There aren't any pursuers behind us. We're just torturing ourselves. Grandfather's also too much. He made us leave in such a hurry. I didn't even have time to tidy up. We didn't even bring out a single one of our dancers." Tang Lu frowned and said, "Stop complaining, you insensible fellow." Tang Tian still wanted to argue, but he suddenly saw an icy light charging into the sky from afar, and he couldn't help but turn pale with fright. "Second brother, be careful. There's someone there." "What?" Tang Lu, Tang Su, and the others looked over, only to see a dense icy light in the forest at the side of the small path. In the sky, a black figure stepped on the icy light as he approached. He wore a black robe, but it was difficult to conceal the 3 dazzling golden stars on his collar and the armor beneath his battle robe. With a clang, he pulled out the long sword on his back. Starlight flickered as he laughed in a low voice. "Tang Lu, Tang Tian, do you 2 pieces of trash think you can escape?" Lin Muyu. Tang Lu and Tang Su's faces were ashen at the same time. Chapter 562. Protect the young master, kill them. Tang Su pulled out his sword and led a group of light cavalry to charge forward. From afar, a group of light cavalry raised their bows and arrows, and in an instant, a series of black arrows shot into the sky. Die! The newcomer raised his long sword and suddenly slashed out a frosty sword chi. Shua! The fierce frosty chi covered the sky and covered the earth. In the blink of an eye, more than a dozen light cavalrymen were already covered in frost. In an instant, their lives were taken away by the power of the frost. Tang Su's face was aghast. He leaped up from his horse and with his sword he roared, "Lin Muyu, don't you dare bully my 7 Seas Tang sect, get down here." However, the Lin Muyu in front of him raised his palm and flew out. In the air, a sparkling ice shield quickly condensed, deflecting Tang Su's sword and tens of arrows. Still thinking of leaving? A powerful domain aura engulfed the surroundings, causing a group of Tang family's light cavalry to be unable to move. Lin Muyu stepped on the snowy light and rushed down, his long sword descending from the sky, straight towards Tang Tian's direction. "Bastard!" Tang Tian raised his hand and a firefox seal appeared. The firefox martial spirit roared fiercely, but just as Lin Muyu's sword fell, the tyrannical ice energy surged and the air seemed to freeze. Hiss sound of ice condensing could be heard, and the extremely hot firefox martial spirit was actually frozen. Ah! Tang Tian was dumbfounded, but his body was already unable to move. Gotcha! The sword light swept past and Tang Tian was immediately split into 2. His head and shoulders were chopped off from the back of the warhorse, and his upper body fell to the ground with a gotcha sound. The Tang sect soldiers at the side were scared out of their wits. "He killed young Master Tang Tian, he killed young Master Tang Tian." Amidst the screams, many of the soldiers had already abandoned their weapons and fled in panic. Going against such a strong holy king would only result in a crushing defeat. Zoosh! Tang Su's sword blade cut through the wind, and it was another biting cold strike. However, Lin Muyu seemed to have foreseen this. She turned around and kicked Tang Su's wrist with a blood-red cyclone surrounding her ankle. With a ping sound, she broke Tang Su's wrist. Then she followed up with another kick. Tang Su instantly fell into the weeds far away like a kite with a broken string. While he was in the air, he shouted, "Change to a white drill arrow." We must protect the young master. The light cavalrymen in the front and back arrived one after another. They switched to their longbows, drew their arrows and began to shoot fiercely. Dang dang dang. The white drill arrows hit the ice shield again and again. After all, it was difficult for one fist to fight against four hands. Lin Muyu, Sto Chi had obviously dimmed a lot. Under the moonlight, his pair of eyes actually had a faint purple glow. He looked at the enemies around him ferociously and roared, "You are courting death." Hua. His figure suddenly dashed down from the sky, and his sword descended from the sky towards the crowd, causing another few tens of people to be frozen into pieces of ice. His sword light flashed before vanishing, and he headed straight for the fleeing Tang Lu. Bastard! Tang Lu suddenly turned around, and the firefox seal in his hand soared into the sky. At the same time, the light on his sword surged. This was the light of the mid-grade Earth Book. An earthy yellow light soared into the sky, and the power of heaven and earth had already been activated. Flames whizzed out and went straight for the attacker's body. Ping. The ice shield collided with the mid-grade Earth Book's raging flames. Instantly, the flames surged and burned, and the surrounding Tang sect soldiers who couldn't dodge in time wailed miserably. The long sword in Tang Lu's hand produced a protective force, allowing Tang Lu to avoid all of the raging flames like a rock. Shua. The sword light split the raging flames. In the end, Lin Muyu began to surpass the might of the mid-grade Earth Book, and the long sword flashed past. Ka! Tang Lu screamed miserably. The arm that was holding the weapon was directly chopped off. After losing the protection of the weapon, the raging flames swept over and engulfed his body. Young master! Young master! In the surroundings, a group of 7 Seas city soldiers were dumbstruck, and they were scared out of their wits. After a few seconds, angry roars soared into the sky, and one by one, they rushed towards Lin Muyu, who was temporarily in the sky without a care for their lives. At this moment, Lin Muyu continuously killed so many people, and his strength was already unable to maintain. With a light wave of the long sword, another wave of ice energy surged out, and tens of soldiers holding spears froze to death. A group of reckless fools. He laughed sinisterly, turned around and shot out like lightning, disappearing into the boundless curtain of night in the blink of an eye. It's over. It's all over. Tang Su laid on the ground covered in blood and his face was ashen. With Tang Lu and Tang Tian dead, the Tang clan was already without descendants. Who would inherit half of Tanglan's empire? Huff, huff. Amidst heavy gasps of breath, Lin Muyu dashed for nearly 5 kilometers under the moonlight before hurriedly stopping. He lifted the cloak on his head, and his young face seemed extremely resolute under the illumination of the moonlight. His eyes emitted a dense purple light, and an unending stream of Grandmaster Devil energy surged out from his body to heal his injuries. How was this Lin Muyu? He was a high-ranked devil of the 5-star devil ancestor rank. By being one of the 15 elders of the devil race and also the youngest elder. He was proficient in ice attribute absolute arts. With a light scream, Bai Bing pulled out a white drill arrow that had shot into his arm and threw it to the side. The white drill arrow emitted a clear, ding sound as it hit the rock. He clenched his teeth and dense frost condensed on his palm to freeze the wound. His eyes were filled with dense rage as he said indifferently, "A mere Tang Lu and Tang Tian were actually able to injure me. Simply detestable. But once Tang Lu and Tang Tian are dead, the 7 Seas province will probably fall into chaos. Old bastard Tanglan's lifespan is approaching its end, and I want to see who else he can rely on to inherit his authority." As he spoke, Bai Bing cried out in pain once more, and the corners of his mouth curled into a smile that was extremely savage. "Lin Mi, the rest is up to you." After the fierce battle, the numerous bonfires in the forest still hadn't been extinguished. Tang Su held his sword in a daze as he slowly walked between the numerous corpses, and his face was filled with regret and despair as he looked at Tang Tian's body that had been split into 2. "What should I do? What should I do? If His Highness blames me, I'm afraid my entire family will be annihilated, General." The nearby captain said, "This matter can't be blamed on you. Lin Muyu is truly too strong. Moreover, he obstructed us here in the middle of the night. I'm afraid no one would be able to resist him. We'll report this matter truthfully to His Highness." "What's the use of that?" Tang Su laughed bitterly. Only he knew that Tang Lu and Tang Tian were Tang Lan's final hopes. Once these two people died, Tang Lan's world was practically equivalent to collapsing. Under his rage, not to mention himself, the heads of these 5,000 people would probably fall to the ground. Just at this moment, a woo-woo scream suddenly came from the midst of the pile of corpses. One of the soldiers who was transporting the corpses stared dumbfoundedly at the person lying in the middle of the bonfire. It was as if he had seen a ghost. Suddenly, he laughed wildly and said, "Young master didn't die, young master didn't die." What? Tang Su hurriedly raised his sword and rushed over. He knelt on one knee beside Tang Lu's body. Borrowing the moonlight and the light from the torches, he saw that Tang Tian's right arm had already been chopped off. His face and chest had been burned into a mess by the flames, and he was almost unrecognizable. His voice was extremely soft, but it was like a flickering flame of hope as he said, "Commander Tang Su. This subordinate is here, this subordinate is here." Tang Su was extremely excited. Tang Lu took a deep breath and only then did he have the strength to continue saying, "Quickly use healing medicine to heal my wounds. I have a low-grade book embryo of the law of life in my spatial bag. Take it out, and use it to save me." Yes. Tang Su hurriedly took out a shield from Tang Lu's spatial bag. With a light turn of his wrist, he willed it. Immediately, a green light poured into Tang Lu's body. Those burns actually slowly healed at a speed visible to the naked eye. Although it still looked so tragic, there was already a trace of blood. This proved that Tang Lu's life could be saved. "Help me sit up," Tang Lu said in a weak voice. "Yes." Tang Su hurriedly placed a military bag behind Tang Lu and helped him up to lean against it. He said, "Young master, if you have anything to say, just say it. I'll treat your wounds." As he spoke, Tang Su opened a bottle of high-quality healing medicine, and the medicinal liquid ceaselessly poured onto Tang Lu's severed arm and burned wounds. Traces of coolness seeped into his body, causing Tang Lu to be unable to help but quiver and suck in a breath of cold air. After a while, Tang Lu said, "Commander Tang Su, don't spread the news that I'm still alive." "Yes." Tang Su nodded. Tang Lu continued, "Let the soldiers surround this place and forbid them from talking to each other. Forget about the soldiers on the periphery, kill all the soldiers who see me alive. Give their families double the compensation." "Yes." Tang Su's heart went cold. He had never imagined that Tang Lu would be so ruthless. Tang Lu's breathing was somewhat hurried as he said, "Announce to the outside world that I'm already dead and that the person who killed me and brother Tian was Lin Muyu." The people of Iha country saw Lin Muyu use a supreme technique of the laws of ice in the Heavenly Tome monolith forest to instantly kill many people. This debt will be placed on his head. Take the corpses of brother Tian and the soldiers who died in battle back to Lanyan City and seek justice for the Tang family at the Zetian Hall. In addition, send 2 people to escort me to the Seven Seas province. Just treat it as if I, Tang Lu, am no longer in this world." Why? "Because someone wants me dead." Tang Lu's eyes were filled with coldness as he said, "I must die. Only after I die can I find out who it is that wants me dead so badly. I will make them pay tenfold." Yes, this subordinate understands. In addition, the news that I'm not dead can only be told to grandfather. "Commander Tang Su, you must keep it a secret, understood?" "Understood. Find a charred corpse and treat it as my corpse. Bring it back to Lanyan City." "Yes." Under the moonlight, quite a few soldiers began to cry. Tang Su's eyes were also red. After bringing the corpses of the 2 young masters, he said, "Brothers, let's return to Lanyan City and seek justice for the 2 young masters of our Tang family. They cannot die in vain. The murderer Lin Muyu must receive the severe punishment of the Zetian Hall." Chapter 563. One day later, in Lanyan City, a group of cavalrymen slowly entered the Seven Seas monarch's residence. Tang Lan, Tang Wei, and Xiang Yu, who had received the news in advance, were already waiting in the front courtyard of the residence to welcome them. When they saw several soldiers carrying Tang Lu and Tang Tian's corpses into the residence, Tang Lan couldn't help but tear up. Lifting the white cloth, they saw Tang Tian's still frozen and broken body. He had been split into 3 parts by a sword and died a miserable death. When they saw Tang Lu's corpse, Tang Lan was already sobbing. The white-haired person had to send off the black-haired person. The world was extremely miserable. Tang Wei's eyes were red as she looked coldly at Tang Su and said sternly, "Commander Tang Su, how did you do things? Why are you still standing there alive after Tang Lu and Tang Tian were assassinated?" Tang Su didn't say anything. He just slowly knelt down and remained silent. Xiang Yu held Tang Wei's shoulder and said, "Xiao Wei, calm down first." As he spoke, Xiang Yu walked forward and held Tang Lan's arm saying, "Your Highness, please restrain your grief and accept fate. What we need to do now is to immediately find out the real culprit and avenge the two young masters. No matter who it is, since they dared to provoke the Seven Seas Tang sect, they must bear the consequences." Xiang Yu's eyes were filled with coldness and killing intent. Tang Lan asked with a trembling voice, "Commander Tang Su, what's going on? Who dares to assassinate my two grandsons?" It was Lin Muyu. Tang Su trembled all over and said, "He had the power of the sacred domain and was also well versed in the law of ice qi. The sword he used looked no different from the astral treasured sword. Your Highness. He wore a 3-star military rank and Imperial Commander-level military rank. If it wasn't Lin Muyu, who else could it be?" Lin Muyu. Lin Muyu. Tang Lan seemed to instantly age to the point where he was about to pass away. He slumped to the ground and said, "Preserve all the evidence of Lin Muyu's assassination of Tang Lu and Tang Tian. Tang Su failed to protect them. Men, throw Tang Su into the death cell and choose a day to execute him. Tomorrow follow me to the palace. I, Tang Lan, will seek justice for Tang Lu and Tang Tian even if I have to risk my old bones." "Your Highness." Tang Su knelt on the ground, his face filled with confusion. Xiang Yu walked forward and easily removed the 3-star military insignia from Tang Su's collar. He said indifferently, "Trash, even 5,000 people could not save the lives of the two young masters. What use are you?" Tang Su lowered his head and said nothing. At night, the Tang sect wore mourning clothes and placed Tang Lu's and Tang Tian's memorial tablets in the main hall. The weeping sounds of the womenfolk rang out unceasingly. Not long after, Tang Xiaoxi also arrived. Although Tang Lu and Tang Tian had always been at odds with her, they were, after all, siblings who had grown up together. Now that she saw Tang Lu and Tang Tian dead, Tang Xiaoxi naturally didn't feel good in her heart. "Grandpa." Tang Xiaoxi held Tang Lan's arm. Looking at Tang Lan's pale face, Tang Xiaoxi felt her heart ache. She said, "Grandpa, don't torture your body. Why don't you eat something first?" "I can't eat." Tang Lan's voice was a little weak as she said, "I did not expect that Lin Muyu would actually act so viciously, killing 2 of my Tang family's heirs in one fell swoop, severing the bloodline of the Tang sect. Lin Muyu, what have I, Tang Lan, done to you? Just come at me, why did you kill my Luer and Tian?" "No." Tang Xiaoxi shook her head repeatedly. "Mu isn't that kind of person, he wouldn't do such a thing. Grandpa, leave this matter to me, I will definitely get to the bottom of it." "No need." Tang Lan shook his head. "The evidence is conclusive, it is indeed Lin Muyu. Xiaoxi, you keep watch for the 2 elder brothers. Grandpa wants to go see what that trash Tang Su has to say." Tang Xiaoxi knew that she couldn't refute Tang Lan's thoughts, and she could only take it one step at a time. Death row prison of the king's mansion. Tang Su's arms were strung up and his body was riddled with scars. Those who entered the death row prison were naturally not treated well. However, Tang Su had trained in martial arts and this torture was not enough to kill him. "Your Highness." A group of prison guards cupped their fists and saluted. Tang Lan nodded and said, "All of you are dismissed. Guard the outside well, without my orders no one is to enter." Yes. The prison guards were all dismissed, and the entire death row prison was only left with Tang Lan, Tang Su and Tang Lan's 4 personal guards. Seeing Tang Su's wretched appearance, Tang Lan nodded and said, "Men, release Commander Tang Su." Yes. The guards stepped forward to remove Tang Su's shackles, bringing a stool for him to sit down. "Commander Tang Su, it has been hard on you." Tang Lan also sat down, saying passively, "Now you can tell me, who was it that tried to assassinate my Luer and Tian?" Tang Su was startled. "Your Highness already knows that it wasn't Lin Muyu?" Tang Lan's voice was cold. "Lin Muyu is currently investigating the Flame Cranes Division's case, and he was still at Flame Cranes Division last night. There is no way he could come and go without a trace and kill people hundreds of miles away. Tell me, who was it that was able to kill my 2 grandsons under the protection of 5,000 guards?" I really don't know the specific identity of the assassin, Tang Su frowned, but I can be sure that it wasn't Lin Muyu because he didn't use the god-binding chains or the 7 luminaries' celestial gourd. He didn't even use the 7 luminaries' profound force or the star art. Instead, his move seemed to be from another world and his battle aura had a faint blood-red color. Blood-red battle aura? Another world's move? Tang Lan raised his eyebrows, saying, "If you have something to say, just say it." Yes. Tang Su took a deep breath, saying, "Looking at his swordsmanship and battle aura, I think he is a high-ranking demon." The red battle aura was a demonic battle aura and master demon force that he deliberately used. However, this person is good at using ice laws, so he pretended to be Lin Muyu, making the world think that it was Lin Muyu's star art's Jade Snow Ice. Lin Muyu displayed the power of the Jade Snow Ice in the White Leaves Forest, and now everyone knows that he is an expert in controlling ice. The demons must also think that this can fool the world. Demons? Tang Lan narrowed his eyes. You mean to say that someone colluded with the high-ranking demons and used them to kill my 2 grandsons, right? Tang Su cupped his fists. Yes, this subordinate thinks so. Who would want the Tang clan to end its bloodline? The first possibility is Feng Jixing. Feng Jixing is under the direct command of Her Highness. If Her Highness wants to eliminate the Tang clan's military power, the first step would be to eliminate the Tang clan's descendants. The second possibility is Su Muyun. There are only 2 kings in the empire, and only Her Highness can fight against Su Muyun's powerful military power. As long as Her Highness dies, Su Muyun still has Su Yu and Luo Exen behind him, and half of the empire will fall into his hands. The third possibility is Qin Yi. The Lingnan Iha nation has always been eyeing the empire covetously, and Her Highness and Su Muyun are the 2 pillars of the empire. If the Tang clan falls, Qin Yi will be one of the beneficiaries. Furthermore, with the death of the 2 young masters, there will definitely be internal unrest in the empire's military. This is what Qin Yi wants to see the most. The fourth possibility is Zheng Yifan. After returning to the empire, Zheng Yifan hasn't really taken the initiative, and his military power is also limited to the Divine Might Battalion. However, the empire already has the Imperial Guards and the Longdan army camp. Zheng Yifan wants to expand the army, but he doesn't have the strength to do so. Once the Tang clan falls into chaos, perhaps Zheng Yifan will have the opportunity to control part of the Seven Seas province's military power. The fifth possibility is... Tang Su suddenly paused and didn't continue speaking. Tang Lan smiled faintly and waved her hand. I know everything. There are countless possibilities. My Lu, and Tian were just fooling around, but because of their identity as descendants of the Tang sect, they were met with this unexpected disaster. No matter who killed them, I'll find out the truth and make them pay with their blood. Yes. Tang Su stood up and slowly knelt in front of Tang Lan. Your Highness, this subordinate has one more thing to tell you. What is it? Tang Su trembled as he took out a spatial bag from his bosom. It was a pure white spatial bag made of animal skin. Tang Lan recognized this spatial bag. It was a gift he had given to Tang Lu for his 18th birthday. Tang Lan's body trembled for a moment. This is, yes. Tang Su nodded. His eyes flickered with some joy. Although the owner of this spatial bag was seriously injured, he didn't die. Right now he's already on the way to Seven Seas City. He asked me to tell your Highness that he's already dead. He wants to become an invisible person and assist your Highness in the dark. Lu. Tang Lan held the spatial bag and suddenly looked up to the sky and laughed. There was some vicissitudes and some gratification in his laughter. Your Highness, what should we do now? Tang Su asked. Follow me to the palace tomorrow. We'll use the material evidence and witnesses in our hands to testify against Lin Muyu for the crime of murder. Tang Lan's eyes were slightly fierce. This foster son of the former emperor has been tyrannical in Lanyan City for too long. It's time to let him know what retribution is. Yes. Late at night, Flamingo Division. Xiao Han flipped through the files with a distressed expression on his face. What's wrong? Can't find it? Lin Muyu sat at the side drinking tea and said with a smile. Can't find it. Xiao Han shook his head and said, Commander Yu, I think you should be concerned about the important matters that concern you. The Seven Seas King's estate has already sent out news that you've killed Tang Lu and Tang Tian. The Seven Seas King will surely seek justice from Her Highness the Empress during the Imperial Court Assembly tomorrow. Supposedly their evidence is extremely conclusive. Commander Yu, you must be on guard against them. I know. Lin Muyu took a deep breath and said, what's going to come will come. Beside her, Feng Jixing stood up and said, you've been staying in the imperial capital. We also have very sufficient witnesses. Tomorrow we'll see what material evidence Tang Lan can produce. Yes. Lin Muyu looked at the bright moon outside the window with a deep gaze and said, but who assassinated Tang Lu and Tang Tian? Who knows? Feng Jixing smiled faintly. There are too many people who want Tang Lu and Tang Tian dead, just like there are too many people who want you and me dead. Chapter 564. Empire Calendar, Year 7735, December 25th, 5 days before the Spring Plowing Festival, but today ushered in the final drama of the end of the year in the Qin Empire. In the morning, all the officials in Zetian Palace were silent, as if everyone knew that a storm was coming. Only Lin Muyu, Feng Jixing, and Wei Chou were discussing their experiences in practicing the diamond body protection. General Feng has already practiced to the 7th heaven? Wei Chou was shocked. That's amazing. I'm still practicing the 3rd heaven, embracing the moon. Feng Jixing patted his chest. I'm so focused, so of course I can practice fast. If there's anything you don't understand, just ask me. I'll definitely teach you. Wei Chou laughed. That's great. I've always been puzzled about the embracing the moon. How can one hold the moon in one's arms? Commander, you taught me that it's very simple. Just imagine the feeling of holding a sister in one's arms. That's it. Pfft. Feng Jixing didn't know whether to laugh or cry. You is really misleading people. Holding a sister in one's arms. The true meaning of the embracing the moon is to be able to release and retract freely, with the right amount of strength. You can't rush it. Based on my experience, I should use words. Hugging a soft girl in one's arms is the correct way. You can imagine the feeling of hugging a delicate jade-like girl in one's arms. You don't dare to use too much strength, but you don't want to let go. Wei Chou was shocked. General Feng is really godly, Situ Shui sneered at the side. General Feng is leading our commander astray again. No way. At this time, Chu Yao, who was dressed in the spiritual medicine department's deacon uniform, also walked over and said, why isn't your highness in the palace today? It's already half an hour late. I don't know, she's probably putting on makeup. Lin Muyu said. Sure enough, after a few minutes, Qin Yin arrived late. Surrounded by a group of female officials, she walked into the Golden Hall and sat down in a dignified manner. She waved her hand and said, sirs, please rise. If you have something to report, please report. If not, please leave. Among the crowd, Tang Lan walked out shakily. With tears on his face, he said, Your Highness, you must seek justice for this old subject. What's the matter, 7C King? Just say it. What exactly happened? Qin Yin asked. Tang Lan knelt on both knees and said, 2 days ago this old subject ordered my 2 grandsons Tang Lu and Tang Tian to head to the 7 Seas province to recruit soldiers in order to increase the empire's military strength. Unexpectedly, my 2 grandsons were assassinated on the way there and their souls returned to the heavenly realm. This old subject's parting with this old subject is actually my last. I Tang Lan only have these 2 filial grandsons. Once they die, my Tang clan will no longer have any descendants. Your Highness, please give this old subject justice. What? Qin Yin was startled. Someone actually dared to assassinate Marquis Lingbei and Marquis Lingxi within the empire's borders. Preposterous. Has the 7 Sea King found out who did it? It's Lin Muyu, who was conferred as one of the 4 heroes of Lan Yen by the late emperor. It's him. Tang Lan was filled with righteous indignation as he pointed in Lin Muyu's direction and said, the thousands of troops in the 7 Seas city all saw it clearly. It was Lin Muyu who killed Tang Tian with the Star's sword. It was him who burned Tang Lu beyond recognition with the king's battle flame. What? Qin Yin didn't receive any news at all. When she heard up to this point, she was already dumbfounded. She looked at Lin Muyu and said, Commander Yu, what's going on? Lin Muyu's expression was calm as he cupped his fists and said, I've been staying in the imperial capital for the past few days. Imperial Guard Commander Feng Jixing and Fire Sparrow Division Headmaster Xiao Han can prove it. My subordinates can also prove that I never left the imperial capital. It's impossible for me to go outside the city to kill people. Tang Wei said angrily, Lin Muyu, do you still want to deny it? Who in the imperial capital doesn't know that the star's art you cultivate has a move that can freeze people to death? You ruthless murderer, you will die a horrible death. Lin Muyu looked at her indifferently and said, Princess Wei, before the truth is revealed, please don't slander an imperial commander with the rank of general. This is the cultivation and grace that you should have as a princess. The other princess, Tang Xiaoxi, sat quietly next to Qin Yin. She bit her red lips and didn't say a word. Her heart was already in a mess. At this time Feng Jixing cupped his fists and said, Your Highness, I think this matter must be investigated thoroughly before we can come to a conclusion. Qin Yin nodded. Fire Sparrow Division Headmaster Xiao Han orders you to investigate this matter immediately. You must track down the assassin of the two marquises. Yes, Your Highness. Xiao Han's face was solemn. However, at this moment Tang Lan said, Your Highness, you must not. What's wrong, Seven Seas King? Everyone in Lanyan City knows that Xiao Han and Lin Muyu are close friends. If Xiao Han investigates this case, he will definitely not be impartial. I think that we should first remove all of Lin Muyu's military power, strip her of her title and military rank, and let the Seven Seas King Palace investigate this matter. Before the truth is revealed, Lin Muyu must not be let off as a suspect. Zhang Wei was furious. He raised his eyebrows and said, Your Highness, Seven Seas King, are you going to forcibly seize the military power of an imperial commander without any evidence? No evidence. Tang Lan couldn't help but laugh. Someone bring the irrefutable evidence. Outside the palace, a guard walked in with a plate in his hand. On the plate was a waist tag, carved with the words Longdan Army Camp in gold. It was the waist tag of the commander of the Longdan Army Camp. Furthermore, there were bloodstains on this waist tag, making it look extremely terrifying. Lin Muyu's heart skipped a beat. She had lost this waist tag 3 days ago when she went out of the city to check on the progress of the magic crystal cannon. It was currently being reforged, but it was actually in Tang Lan's hands. This was not good. Tang Lan held the waist tag and said, This is the irrefutable evidence, Your Highness. At the scene of Tang Lu and Tang Tian's assassination, someone found this waist tag of the commander of the Longdan Army Camp. I think it should be clear whose item this belongs to, right? This. Qin Yin frowned slightly. Seven Seas King, could there be a mistake? Would a commander of the empire casually give his waist tag to others? Tang Lan sneered. Lin Muyu felt a chill in her heart as she took a step forward and cupped her fists. Your Highness, I lost this command token 3 days ago, and I've already asked the Minister of War, Xueling, to order someone to recast it for me. Tang Lu and Tang Tian were assassinated 2 days ago, so this command token can't be used as evidence at all. The Minister of War, Lord Xueling, can testify to this matter. Qin Yin looked at Xueling and said, Xueling, is it like this? Xueling's black eyes met with Tang Lan's. He hurriedly lowered his head and cupped his fists. Your Highness, I don't remember such a thing. Commander, you didn't ask me to reforge the waist tag. What? Lin Muyu turned pale with fright. She couldn't help but let out a bitter laugh. Xueling was Tang Lan's subordinate, so he should have expected this. Tang Lan had calculated everything, so how could he make a mistake here? Lin Muyu could only blame herself for being too careless. She actually didn't notice that she had lost the token while riding her horse. Commander, do you have anything else to say? Tang Lan's eyes were cold as he said, You killed my Lu and Tianru, wiping out the bloodline of the Tang sect. You are so vicious. What else do you have to say? Qin Yin's heart was in a mess. She looked at Su Muyun, Feng Jixing and the others for help, hoping that they could speak up for Lin Muyu. It would be good if they could salvage the situation. However, who would have thought that Su Muyun would lower his head and remain silent? He was probably still holding a grudge against Lin Muyu for severely injuring Luo Exen. Luo Exen was still bedridden, and it was impossible for him to speak up for Lin Muyu. Furthermore, even if he did not do so, how could he let go of such an opportunity to bring down the Longdan army camp? Only Feng Jixing furrowed his brows and cupped his fists, saying, Your Highness, Lin Muyu's military exploits are illustrious. The tens of thousands of soldiers in the Longdan army camp are our greatest reliance against the demon race, the Iha kingdom and the imperial capital. Even if there is so-called evidence, we must not touch Lin Muyu and the Longdan army camp. This is the foundation of the empire. Now that Your Highness has taken control of the throne, You no longer need to be controlled by vile people. You can decide everything on your own. Xianxia couldn't help but laugh coldly, saying, assassinating 2 marquises of the empire. This crime is probably not something that can be offset by meritorious deeds, right? Bending the law for personal gain, what difference is there between the empire's laws and a piece of scrap paper? Your Highness, this general remembers that when your Highness ascended to the throne, you had already clarified the laws and brought peace to the world. If there is conclusive evidence, then you cannot ignore the laws of the empire. Otherwise, the Qin Empire will be in danger. Su Muyun also cupped his fists and said, Your Highness, please make a judgment quickly so that the officials will not be disappointed. Lin Muyu raised her head to look at Qin Yin on the throne with a look of approval in her eyes. She nodded her head but didn't say anything. Tang Lan said, Your Highness, please remove Lin Muyu's gold military insignia and strip her of the title of Marquis Yunling. Lin Muyu murdered 2 marquises and her subordinates cannot escape responsibility. Please take away the military power of Wei Chou, Situ Sin, Situ Shui and Fengxi. The Longdan army camp will have 10,000 men in a team and send them to the various provinces to act as border guards. Only in this way can we stabilize the imperial capital and make the world submit to us. Dang. The heaven-suppressing sword in Qin Yin's hand was suddenly unsheathed and she threw it out with a swing of her hand. The true dragon god binding chains circled around the blade of the sword as it flew out in a spiral. With a ping sound, it stabbed into the foot of the king's steps. Crushed stones flew everywhere and the officials were overwhelmed with shock. All of them were so scared that they kept quiet out of fear. I do not wish for anyone to tell me what to do. Always remember you are the official and I am the monarch. Qin Yin looked at Tang Lan indifferently. Tang Lan felt as if there was a thorn in her back. The Qin Yin in front of her was like a queen and was no longer the Qin Yin that could be manipulated by others. Tang Lan didn't seem to understand this point. Su Muyun's complexion was only slightly better than Tang Lan's as he cupped his fists and said, Your Highness, then how should this matter be decided? Qin Yin lightly waved her arm and said, Come, remove Commander Yu's General Gold Star and temporarily strip him of his title. However, the military power of the Courage of Dragon Army will still be in Lin Muyu's hands. No one is allowed to have any objections. Shao Han will investigate the matter of Tang Lu and Tang Tian's murder. When the truth comes to light, Commander Yu's title and military rank will be returned. This matter will be settled. Tang Lan's expression was dejected and she didn't say anything else. Tang Wei, however, glared with her phoenix eyes and said, Your Highness, Lin Muyu murdered Tang Lu and Tang Tian. The evidence is conclusive. How can Your Highness be so biased and still let this person continue to control the military power? Is Your Highness trying to bully our 7 Seas Tang sect? Tang Wei had a crafty and unruly personality. At this moment she didn't put Qin Yin the Empress in her eyes at all. Qin Yin looked deeply at her and said, Princess Wei, this isn't bias. This is for the Empire's mountains and rivers. Please remember the one who drowned 60,000 armored demons in the wildfire plains and forced the 2 demon legions to retreat wasn't Tang Lu or Tang Tian, but Lin Muyu. Please remember the Empire can completely lose Tang Lu and Tang Tian, but it can't lose Lin Muyu. I am the Empress and everything I do is for Great Qin. Truly preposterous words. Are the lives of our Tang clan's people not lives? I know you are sad that Tang Lu and Tang Tian were killed. Princess Wei, please calm down. Qin Yin said in a low voice. No, based on what? Tang Wei had an agitated expression. Feng Jixing's sword-like eyebrows were tightly knitted as he shouted in a low voice. Men, where are the golden armored warriors? Drag Tang Wei, this shrew who offended His Highness, out for this daddy. Chapter 565. Everyone stop quarreling. Just treat it as giving me face. In the hall, a certain person who was the target of everyone's criticism slowly took off the 3-star gold emblem on her collar. The golden-purple flower reflected a dazzling luster under the sunlight. The Empire's military emblem. How beautiful. She then took out the general's sword seal from her cosmos sack and gave it to Shangguan Jingyue. Shangguan Jingyue laughed softly. Then I'll keep it for you. Thank you. 7 Sea King Duke Lan, you know that I didn't kill your 2 grandsons, so don't force me. Don't forget that when a rabbit is cornered it will bite. Besides, I, Lin Muyu, am not a rabbit. Shao Han will find out the truth behind Tang Lu and Tang Tian's assassination and seek justice for you. In addition, the Tang family's bloodline has not ended. Don't forget that Xiaoxi is also your granddaughter. In my hometown, girls can also inherit the family business. Tang Lan looked at him coldly. Many thanks for Commander Yu's good intentions. This old subject appreciates it. Our Tang family's matters will naturally be handled by ourselves. There is no need for Commander Yu to worry. Lin Muyu smiled and took off her heavy helmet. She tucked it under her armpit and turned to look at Qin Yin. Your Highness, I no longer have a military position and title. Does that mean I can no longer stay in Zetian Palace Hall? If that's the case, I'll take my leave first. Qin Yin was a little flustered. Are you angry? No, I'm going to eat my fill. There are still important things to do in the afternoon. Alright, go then. Thus, Lin Muyu strode out of Zetian Palace Hall and took Snowtreader's reins from Bai Yin. Looking at Lin Muyu's expression, Bai Yin smiled. Looking at Commander's expression, you must have averted the disaster. I've always said that those people from the Tang family always want to harm Commander. They are really despicable. Commander, am I right? That's not right. Lin Muyu pointed at her collar. Didn't you see that my general has been removed? Bai Yin, let's find a place to eat and drink. My treat. Okay, I know a good place to go. Lead the way. Yes. When it was almost noon, the two appeared on the north side of Tongtian Street. There were many restaurants here and it was the most popular place in the imperial capital. Bai Yin led his horse straight to a beautifully decorated restaurant and smiled. Here it is. Clear Sky Pavilion? Lin Muyu looked up at the shop sign. Bai Yin said, Grand Purity Pavilion's wine and meat are extraordinarily fragrant, and they're also extraordinarily expensive. A single tray of Yin flour beef buns can be sold for 10 Yin coins, and the wine and meat are even more expensive. Brat, you're killing me. Commander, you said you would treat me to a big meal. Forget it, let's go in. All right. The two of them stepped into the restaurant together. Immediately, a 30-year-old woman wearing a long pink dress walked over and said with a smile, Oh, it's you two generals. Come in quickly, this humble restaurant has a new batch of game. I guarantee you two will have a taste. Game? Lin Muyu frowned and said in a small voice, When I was cultivating in the dragon-seeking forest, I ate game every day without fail. Bai Yin laughed. Commander, you'll find out very soon. The two of them asked for a private room and after ordering a lot of food and wine, the lady boss left. Not long after, two courtesans walked in, one carrying a pipa and the other a harp. Both of them were extremely beautiful, at least an 8 out of 10. Bai Yin's eyes almost popped out of their sockets as he muttered, Grand Purity Pavilion's game is really top-notch in the imperial capital. So this is game. Lin Muyu grinned but didn't say anything. She poured herself a cup of wine and drank by herself. The two courtesans began to sing. Their voices were clear and sweet and their skills were quite good. Even someone like Lin Muyu, who didn't understand music, could hear the bitterness and melancholy in the music. By the time the song was over, Lin Muyu had already finished 7 beef buns and a large piece of wild boar leg. Sirs. The girl carrying the pipa said, My name is Zhou Xian and I'm proficient in zither, chess, calligraphy and painting. My ancestral home is Cloud Province's Xiangyuan Commandery, and because of the chaos of war I came to the imperial capital. If you don't abandon me, I'm willing to redeem my value at 1,400 Jin coins. I'm willing to be a slave or a servant. At this time the red-clothed girl on the right also said, My name is Lu Lan, and my ancestral home is Qihai Province's Pingyuan Commandery. My mother died when I was young and my father was a soldier. He died in battle against the demons half a year ago, and his pension was taken by County Chief Blackheart. With no one to rely on, I can only sell myself as a slave or a servant. If you don't abandon me, I'm willing to redeem my value at 1,000 Jin coins. Lin Muyu was silent. Bai Yin said with a smile, Sirs, my lord is of noble character and unquestionable integrity. He doesn't lack women, so there's no need for you to introduce yourselves. Just play and sing and the reward will not be small. Yes. At this time Lin Muyu slowly put down the cup in her hand and said, Zhao Qian, how did you end up like this? If it was only because of the chaos of war, you could have found a good family and married them with your beauty. How did you end up as a prostitute? Zhao Qian's delicate body trembled, and her beautiful eyes were covered with a layer of mist. Sirs, please understand. After my house was burned to the ground, I was captured. They They defiled my body that night. How could an unclean body marry someone? That's why I ended up in this state. Lulan, are you the same? Lin Mu asked. Yes. Lulan sat there in silence, not daring to say anything. Both of them could see that this young general in front of them had an extraordinary bearing. The confidence and calmness in his speech were not something those mercenaries could compare to. Presumably, his identity was extraordinary. Moreover, the golden purple flower embroidered on his white robe made it even more obvious that he was of high status. Bai Yin was a little surprised. Commander, why are you asking about this? Lin Muyu said, the human traffickers in Yanlan City are becoming more and more rampant. They abduct and sell young girls everywhere to be the singers and dancers of Yanlan City. Those who aren't good-looking are sold as prostitutes and no one cares about their crimes. Bai Yin laughed. This is something that has happened since ancient times. Who cares? I'll take care of it. Lin Mu smiled. She took out a gold note from her bosom and placed it on the table. I'll help you to redeem your freedom. But you need to tell me who sold you here. I'll follow the clues and uproot this power. Sirs, you have to think this through. The business of selling prostitutes is very profitable. The backers behind them are not small. I even dared to offend Tang Lon and Su Muyun. What can this backer do to me? Today Lin Muyu held the military power. With the strength of the Longdan army camp, it was enough to support half of the imperial capital. In addition, with the help of Feng Jixing, Xiao Han and others, the time was ripe. Lin Muyu could indeed do some things that she couldn't do in the past. The two prostitutes were dumbfounded. This young general in front of them actually said that he dared to offend even the Seven Seas King and the Cloud King. His identity was even more obvious. There were only two people who dared to say such words in Lanyan City. One was Feng Jixing and the other was Lin Muyu. And this handsome person in front of them was definitely not Feng Jixing. Then it was the legendary Lin Muyu who defeated the demon race in the wildfire plains. Zhao Qin's delicate body trembled slightly. She prostrated on the ground and said gratefully, "Thank you, sirs, for giving me a new lease of life." This servant was sold to the imperial capital by a group of ruffians. I only remember, they had an organization called the Copper Dagger Gang. Everyone would carry a bronze dagger with them. Many disobedient women would die under their daggers. Copper Dagger Gang? Lin Muyu frowned and asked, Bai Yin, do you know about the Copper Dagger Gang? I do. Bai Yin ate and said, Sirs, you can't be planning to make a move against the Copper Dagger Gang, right? Can't I? That's fine, but the Seven Seas King's mansion is thinking of ways to frame you, and yet you're running off to save a girl who has lost her footing. Is this really good? Won't you disappoint Xiao Han, Feng Jixing and the others? They won't, they understand me. That's fine. Bai Yin said, the Copper Dagger Gang is different from Situ Sen's Heaven Execution Society. The Copper Dagger Gang only lives underground, and all of their transactions are done in secret. I only know that the Copper Dagger Gang has been around for less than 3 years. The leader of the Copper Dagger Gang is a man called Lu Jun. It is said that he has dealings with the Imperial Guard and some of the lower and middle-level officers of the Major Corps. So it won't be as easy to remove the Copper Dagger Gang as you think. Lu Jun? Lin Muyu muttered. Why does this hateful name sound so familiar? This subordinate doesn't know. If Sirs wants to find Lu Jun, it's very simple. You just need to find a young and beautiful woman to use as bait. Walk in the alleys of the old city area at night, and someone from the Copper Dagger Gang will naturally receive her. Please don't. Lulin, the songstress, was like a frightened little beast as she said, the Copper Dagger Gang. Whenever they catch a young and beautiful girl, they will definitely defile her first. But you can't. Lin Muyu flashed a radiant smile and said, Don't worry with me here, no one can touch her. Bai Yin continue. Bai Yin nodded and explained, the leaders of the Copper Dagger Gang are divided into 10 ranks from low to high. The lowest rank is called Snake Head, and above it are Eagle Head, Wolf Head, Bear Head, Shark Head, Leopard Head, Lizard Head, Whale Head, Tiger Head and Dragon Head. Generally speaking, Snake Head is just a small fry. If he captures more than 3 women, he will be promoted to Eagle Head. If Eagle Head captures 6 women, he will be promoted to Wolf Head. Wolf Head needs to capture. This subordinate's math isn't too good, so I can't calculate anymore. Anyway, the Copper Dagger Gang's Wolf Head is called Lu Jun. You can imagine how many innocent women he has captured. Lin Muyu was dumbfounded. she murmured. What a great gang. If I don't destroy this copper dagger gang, it will be a disgrace to my identity as a transmigrator. Bai Yin was at a loss. What is and what is transmigration? Chapter 566. At dusk, Lin Muyu returned to Zetian Palace to discuss with Qin Yin about the legislation to ban human trafficking and to get a free meal. As this matter was too serious, Qin Yin called Feng Jixing, Tang Xiaoxi and Qin Yan over as well. At night, everyone sat around the table. In the rising steam, the pot of pork and potatoes was giving off an alluring aroma. Feng Jixing frowned and said, "If we ban human trafficking, the implications will be huge. The female slave market in Lanyan City can bring in at least 100 million gold coins every year, and all the brothels are infiltrated by the wealth of the officials. Can be said that a slight move in one part will affect the whole body. As far as I know, there are more than 40 restaurants in Officers' Alley alone that operate this kind of business. They have trained a large number of singers and dancers and are waiting for the highest price. Among these 40 restaurants, at least 10 are opened by the generals and civil officials of the Prince of Cloud Zhong's mansion, and most of the others are opened by the important officials of the imperial court. There are 3 departments and 6 ministries, and almost no one can escape. Even the Minister of History and the Minister of Revenue have opened several restaurants that trade singers. This matter, it's better to think about it at length, otherwise I'm afraid it will arouse public anger." Lin Muyu nodded and thought for a while, then said, "I know this matter has a lot of implications, so I dare not act rashly. Otherwise I would directly dispatch the Longdan army camp to arrest them. But this matter has to be changed." "Boy, you are still thinking about the system of female camp?" Feng Jixing chuckled. "That's right." Lin Muyu said, "The soldiers of the imperial army are all professional soldiers. Since they are professional soldiers, they should not use female camp to stimulate their combat effectiveness. I don't know if Brother Feng still remembers, but it's not the first time that the Imperial Army's mobility and morale were affected by the existence of female camp. Many middle and low-level officers lost their fighting spirit after having female camp. When retreating and marching, the overall marching speed was also slowed down because of the female camp. Otherwise, the 20,000 Iron Blade Army cavalry would not have been chased by 3,000 armor demons and lost more than half of them. I agree with Mu's opinion. Tang Xiaoxi, who was sitting beside Qin Yin, smiled and said, "There shouldn't be female soldiers in the Empire's army in the first place. We're not some barbaric tribe army that needs women to motivate us. Now that the Empire has a complete reward system, there's no longer a need for female soldiers to exist." The commander of the Imperial Guards, Qin Yan, ate a piece of meat and did not even have time to wipe his mouth before saying, "I also agree with Big Brother's view." Qin Yin nodded. "Since we're more or less on the same page and I think the time is ripe, I'll issue an edict tomorrow morning to abolish the barracks mistress system. All barracks mistresses of the Empire will be given 10 Jin Yin coins each. Just abolishing the concubine system is not enough." Lin Muyu said, "We still need to customize a punishment system for human trafficking. Those who forcefully abduct women and sell them as slaves will be killed. Those who forcefully abduct women and forcibly take them as wives will be whipped 50 times and fined 5 Jinin coins. Other than those who voluntarily sign the contract to sell themselves, anyone who forcefully buys and sells women will be punished severely. Only this way can we make the law clear and change the bad habits that have persisted for 10,000 years in the Qin Empire." On the side, Shangguan Jingyue, who was serving everyone at the back, lightly bowed and said with a smile, "Jingyue represents all the women in the world to thank Commander Yu's great kindness. Your Highness, can Jingyue write this set of laws for you?" Qin Yin nodded. "Then Jingyue can go busy yourself. There's no need for you to serve here." "Yes, this servant will take her leave." Shangguan Jingyue slowly retreated in a natural and unrestrained manner. Seeing this, Qin Yan and Feng Jixing couldn't help but be a little dumbfounded. Qin Yin was already a great beauty, and the female official by her side was actually such a natural beauty. It was too precious. Lin Muyu seemed to have noticed something and couldn't help but smile. "Big Brother Feng, I'm 27 years old this year. Logically speaking, you're older than me by 5 years, so you'll be 33 years old this year. You're still unmarried. Don't tell me you won't consider it? In my opinion, this female official Shangguan Jingyue is virtuous and treats people gently. She's a good candidate. Moreover, Big Brother Feng, Let's talk about the concubine. Feng Jixing's face was a little flushed as he said, I'm not worthy of her. How can that be? Tang Xiaoxi smiled with her dimples. Big brother Feng, as one of the empire's commanders, is well versed in both the pen and the sword. Your appearance is also passable. Even if Jingyue's background isn't bad, she's still only a personal female official. How can you not be worthy of her? When it came to getting serious, Feng Jixing was a little timid. He lowered his head and drank the wine in one gulp. His eyes had a touch of melancholy as he said, Feng Jixing is a sinner. I carry the souls of 30,000 brothers on my back. As long as the Yihe nation is not destroyed and Jiyao is not dead, I, Feng Jixing, am not worthy of marrying a wife. So, forget it. I've only been suffering all these years. I don't want her to suffer with me. Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi were startled and went silent. Everyone knew what Feng Jixing was shouldering. This was something that no one was willing to mention. Feng Jixing, because of his own kindness, buried the lives of 30,000 imperial guards. This was a knot that he would never be able to untie in his life. Actually, no matter how many enemies he killed, even if he really destroyed the Yihe nation with Feng Jixing's personality, he would never be able to let go of it. This kind of guilt would accompany him for the rest of his life. Lin Muyu used a spoon to stir the soup pot. The boar meat and potatoes slowly moved up and down. He smiled and said, the 300,000 soldiers of the Yihe nation surrounded the Fire Badger Valley. No matter what decision Big Brother Feng makes, the 30,000 imperial guards will still die. They died for the empire and now their names are already on the nation guarding monument. They should be able to rest in peace in heaven. Big Brother Feng, you have already stepped into the Holy King realm. It is only a matter of time before you advance to God realm. You will obtain eternal life and we still have a long road ahead of us. Feng Jixing was startled. He held his chopsticks and sat there absent-mindedly. He raised his head to look at Lin Muyu and said, if we all step into God realm in the future, the road to eternal life will be so lonely and boring. Will you drink with Big Brother Feng often? Why not? Lin Muyu stretched out his hand and looked at Qin Yin, Tang Xiaoxi and the others. He smiled and said, with Xiao Yin, Xiao Shi and Ayan's comprehension, it is only a matter of time before you step into God realm. All of us will have eternal life. No matter how long it takes, whether it is 100 years, 1,000 years or even 10,000 years, we will still be brothers and we will be together. Feng Jixing nodded his head heavily and said, all right, let's eat. This potato is a specialty of the endless forest, right? It is really delicious. That's right. Lin Muyu looked at Tang Xiaoxi and asked, Xiaoxi, how is the production of potatoes in the endless forest this year? It has been planted on a large scale. The yield of this autumn is enough for the demon clan and the barbarian tribe to survive the winter. Otherwise, I am afraid it will be another hungry winter. Next spring we will reclaim the land and plant more crops to provide food for the endless forest and the empire. Let me tell you again, potatoes can be cooked and dried in the sun. They can also be eaten after being fried and they taste better with ketchup. What is ketchup? I don't know if there is ketchup in this plane. Anyway, there is one in my plane. By the way, Xiaoxi, there is one more thing I need to trouble you with. What is it? Take me to the Copper Dagger Gang, the largest human trafficking gang in Longyan City. How? Pretend to be a young woman and get caught by them. Then I can follow the clues. If it is another woman, I will not be at ease. Their cultivation is too low and they will be at a disadvantage. I am so angry. You bastard. Tang Xiaoxi stared at him angrily with her beautiful eyes wide open. Her chest heaved up and down. She said angrily, won't you feel bad if I am at a disadvantage? Lin Muyu touched his nose. Will you be at a disadvantage? I only ask that you don't kill the human trafficker in one go. In any case, come to the commander's tent tomorrow night and follow me. Don't wear too luxurious clothes or you'll be seen through. Qin Yin said worriedly, I heard that those people are despicable. They will use drugs to knock out innocent women and then take them away. What if they use drugs? It's okay. I will make some spirit concentration powder and let Xiaoxi take it first. Then, Feng Jixing stared and said, what if those bastards take advantage of Xiaoxi when she pretends to be unconscious? For example, their breast. Tell me. Tang Xiaoxi blushed. That's right. You don't feel bad for me at all. Who said I don't feel bad? Lin Muyu was enraged. He clenched his fists and the king's fighting flame lingered. If those bastards dare to touch a hair on Xiaoxi, I promise they will regret coming to this world. Okay, I promise you. In exchange you have to give me 5 people. 10 people? Yes, I want 5 Kiliarchs from the Longdan army camp to be captaincy of the Suppressing Demon Pass. There are too few high-ranking generals in the Suppressing Demon Pass. Tangjin alone is far from enough. These 5 people must be proficient in combat training. Is that okay? Tang Xiaoxi looked at him pitifully. She looked like she would cry if he did not agree. Lin Mu thought about it. The Suppressing Demon Pass was slowly expanding. It was also one of the main armies of the empire. Tang Xiaoxi wanted 5 Kiliarchs from the Longdan army camp to be captaincy. This meant that there would be 50,000 soldiers in the Suppressing Demon Pass, and they would be held by Lin Muyu's trusted generals. Tang Xiaoxi's move was meaningful. She planned to share the military power of the Suppressing Demon Pass with Lin Muyu. As long as he was willing, he could mobilize the Suppressing Demon Pass at any time. Alright then, but you have to treat the 5 generals of the Courage Dragon Battalion well. He still tried to show off after getting the benefits. Tang Xiaoxi chuckled and said, "Don't worry. When are we going to take action tomorrow? Also, I can be the bait, but you have to prepare some troops to encircle and annihilate the Bronze Dagger Gang, right?" "There's no hurry. I want to meet the leader of the Bronze Dagger Gang first." "Leader?" Qin Yin was surprised. "Yes, to catch bandits, first catch the ringleader. If we catch the leader of the Bronze Dagger Gang, we can subdue the entire Bronze Dagger Gang." "Maybe Xiao Yin knows the leader of the Bronze Dagger Gang?" "Oh? How is that possible?" "His name is Lu Jun, so it's this despicable person." The Empress was so angry that her face turned red. She clenched her fists and wished she could beat up that stinking hooligan to vent her anger. Chapter 567. The next day the sun was setting and lanterns were lit up in Longyan City. As the most prosperous city on the mainland, Longyan City's nightlife was very colorful. The streets were full of acrobatics, lanterns, singing and so on. But this night was particularly different for Lin Muyu and Tang Xiaoxi. On the street, Lin Muyu was dressed as a merchant, with the star's sword hidden in her gray robe, while Tang Xiaoxi was dressed as a girl from an ordinary family. Except for her very charming face, she was no different from a girl from Longyan City who went out at night. It's so lively in the capital at night. Under the light of the fire, Tang Xiaoxi's beautiful face was full of excitement. She didn't care about what would happen soon. Instead, she was attracted by the bustling night market. She took Lin Muyu's hand and ran around. "Mu, I want to eat sugar figurines. Mu, I want that windmill. Mu, I want to see acrobatics swallowing swords." Lin Muyu wanted to die. She forced herself to calm down and walked step by step toward the old city with Tang Xiaoxi. The old city was not as prosperous as the central district. It was not as bright as Tongtian Street. Along the way there were only some peddlers selling tofu pudding wonton, and some brothels that were not doing very well. The cold wind blew and the few remaining dead leaves on the trees danced and fell with the wind. It was extremely cold. Lin Muyu couldn't help but tighten her clothes. Looking at the sky, it was almost midnight and the time was almost ripe. In front, several drunken mercenaries stood next to a barred girl and listened to her singing. The girl was not good-looking. Her face was covered with dirt and her figure was very thin. She held a rusty pipa in her hand, and when the cold wind blew, the ragged cotton on her body danced. Her voice trembled as she sang an unrhymed ballad that was popular in the empire. "I've seen the falling snow in Longyan City. I remember the starry sky in Muyu City. I hear the flute of the dragon-seeking forest. When the breeze blows through the wildfire, it blows away the blood and hatred. How many stories have been trampled by the iron hooves of the Iha kingdom, how the bards have composed heroic ballads. Her Royal Highness lives in the Zetian Palace, the smoke signal of Longyan City. Annihilates the wind, rain, thunder and lightning." Lin Muyu stood far away and was a little dazed as she listened. She didn't know when her name had become a part of the ballad. The barred girl sang with a trembling voice, but it wasn't too sad. Perhaps she didn't understand the meaning of the lyrics. The iron hooves of the Iha kingdom had trampled on many stories, and perhaps only Lin Muyu would understand these stories. Clang. A shiny Jin-in coin fell into the empty bowl in front of the barred girl. It was a tip from Tang Xiaoxi. "Thank you. Thank you." The girl hurriedly knelt on the ground and kowtowed. She quickly grabbed the Jinying coin and stuffed it into her pocket. Then she picked up the pipa and continued to sing. How many months had it taken for someone to be so generous as to give her a Jinying coin? There were only 2 or 3 rusty copper coins in her empty bowl. She couldn't even buy a bun with these copper coins. Perhaps she hadn't even eaten dinner yet. Let's go. Lin Muyu held Tang Xiaoxi's hand and didn't let her give her any more money. 1 Jinying coin was enough. Any more and this bard girl might be killed. In this world, some people were willing to do anything for money. After buying a worn-out harp from a shop on the street, she had Tang Xiaoxi carry it and pretend to be a bard girl. The 2 of them walked along the dark corridor of the old city. It was midnight and the people in the old city were already asleep. There were only a few scattered lights on the street. Tang Xiaoxi and Lin Muyu walked slowly one in front of the other. Tang Xiaoxi's exquisite cloud boots were hidden under her long dress. She walked on the cold stone steps, making soft sounds as she stepped on the sand. Lin Muyu was like a gray trace, about 300 meters away from Tang Xiaoxi. She followed at a moderate distance. Her footsteps were so soft that it was almost undetectable, and her aura was so suppressed that it was almost impossible to detect. However, her spirit pulse technique was spread out and captured all the auras in the surroundings. Woo-woo, the cold night wind blew on the eaves of the houses on both sides, making a ghostly howl. Tang Xiaoxi's hair stood on end when she heard it. She hugged the harp and walked forward carefully. She lifted her hood, revealing a beautiful face. As the cold wind blew, her cloak fluttered gently, revealing the perfect figure of a girl outlined by the long dress under the cloak. Tang Xiaoxi naturally knew what kind of woman could make a man commit a crime. After walking for about an hour, there was finally a sound coming from an alley not far away. Tang Xiaoxi immediately became alert, but she didn't stop walking. She still walked forward step by step with the harp in her arms. The sound of footsteps came and a man in a black robe slowly walked out of the alley. He walked straight up and said with a foreign accent, "Miss, may I know how to get to the Dragon Search Chamber of Commerce? Please don't misunderstand. I'm a foreign merchant and I'm lost here." Tang Xiaoxi pointed to Tongtian Street in the distance. "Thank you, Mississippi." The man nodded and smiled, but a trace of surprise flashed in his eyes. Only after observing from a close distance did he realize how beautiful this bard girl was. However, he remained calm and walked past Tang Xiaoxi. When their backs were facing each other, he suddenly turned around and took out a piece of cotton cloth to block Tang Xiaoxi's mouth from behind. A strong smell of medicine came, and Tang Xiaoxi knew that the person she was waiting for had finally appeared. The man closed his eyes and pretended to faint on the ground. He laughed and said, "Finally a big fish. Ah, this time I, Hosen, can at least upgrade to an eagle head." Sure enough, there was a copper dagger hanging on his waist. Lin Muyu had no intention of letting this Hosen carry Tang Xiaoxi to their lair. She leaped forward and a Saint Realm pressure swept out. When Hosanna's palm was 7 to 8 centimeters away from Tang Xiaoxi's chest, an invisible pressure fell on him, immobilizing him as if he had seen a ghost. At this time Tang Xiaoxi, who was lying on the ground, got up and raised her hand to slap Hosanna's face. "Smelly pervert." Lin Muyu stepped forward and grabbed Hosanna's collar, saying with a frosty expression, "Don't speak or you're dead." "Who are you?" Hosanna's voice trembled. "The person who wants your life." Lin Muyu opened her palm lightly, and the jade snow frigid energy surged, creating an icy energy field around them. Suddenly Hosanna felt as if he had fallen into the abyss of death. When Lin Muyu retracted her palm, Hosanna's face was as pale as a sheet, as if he had died once. What do you want?" "I don't want anything, just be obedient and I can spare your life." "Hero, as long as you don't kill me, I won't go west if you tell me to go east. I won't dare to chase a chicken if you tell me to beat a dog." Hosen knelt on the ground, begging for mercy. Lin Muyu smiled in satisfaction. This was the kind of person she wanted to knock on the door, so she nodded. "I want to see the Copper Dagger Gang's leader, Lu Jun. Can you take me to him?" "You want to see the leader?" Hosanna was dumbfounded. "Why can't I?" "Hero, I'm not qualified enough. If you want to see the dragon's head, you need to be a level 5 shark head in the gang. I'm just a mere snake head, the smallest in the Bronze Dagger Gang." "Then who's the highest level person you can see?" "It's the tiger head Lord Dog." "Lord Dog?" Lin Muyu smiled. "Alright, I'll go see this Lord Dog." But Lord Dog doesn't meet people usually, I have no reason to meet him. Lin Muyu couldn't help but smile. She reached out and hugged Tang Xiaoxi's shoulder, pointing at her beautiful face with her right hand. If you get such a beautiful woman as a meeting gift, will Lord Dog still not see you? Hosanna's forehead was full of sweat. He said, if you betray your brothers in the gang, you will lose an arm and a leg. If you don't take me to see Lord Dog, I guarantee that both your arms and legs will be cut off. I'll take you there, hero, don't be impulsive. Lin Muyu raised her hand and pulled out the dagger from Hosanna's waist. She pressed it against his back. She said, let's go, take us to see Lord Dog. Yes. Under Hosanna's lead they passed through a damp alley. Further ahead, there were actually 2 burly men guarding them with sharp blades in their hands. One of them grinned and said, Hosan, how come you have the time to come to the branch today? Who are the 2 behind you? This little girl looks so pretty. Come, let me touch you first. Hosanna was trembling with fear as he said, Fei Hu, the man behind me. This man is my new follower. The woman is my prey. This woman is to be presented to Lord Dog. You can't touch her. Presented to Lord Dog? Fei Hu squinted his eyes. He said lightly, it's really like a fresh flower in a vase. Go in, mother ***. God really made a mistake letting you catch such a delicious new product. Hosanna nodded and walked in with Lin Muyu. In the alley, it seemed to be a completely different world from the outside of Lanyan City. There were people sitting on both sides of the road, either eating meat and drinking wine around the bonfire, or holding a woman in their arms, touching each other. Lin Muyu frowned, holding Tang Xiaoxi's hand with one hand and didn't say anything, while Hosanna didn't dare to act rashly. He had seen Lin Muyu's ability, and acting rashly would be courting death. At the end of the alley, noisy cursing and laughter came from a dilapidated house. After Hosanna knocked on the door, a man wearing a wolf head emblem on his chest came out and asked with an arrogant look, Hosanna, what are you doing here? Hosanna pointed at Tang Xiaoxi behind him and said, I just caught a new product with my little brother. The product is very good, and we want to present it to Lord Dog. Please inform him. The man's eyes greedily looked at Tang Xiaoxi's face for a while, then said, wait here, I'll go inform him. A few minutes later the door opened again. Come in. Chapter 568. The room was filled with smoke. A large group of people were gambling around a big table and smoking a very strange kind of cigarette. It must be a kind of drug in this world. Lord Dog, she's here, the wolf head said respectfully. At the table a bald strong man looked up. There were 2 scars on his face. One of them was from top to bottom, so he was blind in one eye. There was a white iron egg in his eye socket which looked very scary. But his other eye was staring at Tang Xiaoxi. When he saw the girl's face and figure, his eyes lit up. He laughed and said, Hosanna, you're really lucky. Such a good girl has fallen into your hands. Hosanna smiled and said, Lord Dog, I hope you can put in a good word for me in front of the Supreme Dragon Chief. Master Ho laughed and said, don't talk nonsense. After you give this girl to me, I'll recommend you to the Supreme Dragon Chief. You'll be promoted 3 times. It's not a problem for you to be a bear head. Thank you, Lord Dog. Who is this person? He's a new face. Reporting to Lord Dog, this little brother is a friend I recently recruited. Oh, I see. Promote him to be a snake head. Thank you, Lord Dog. As he spoke, Lord Dog walked over with a greedy look in his eyes. He reached out to touch Tang Xiaoxi's beautiful face and said, it seems that Lord Dog is going to be a groom tonight. Lin Muyu's gaze swept across the room. There were a total of 12 people in the room. Other than Elder Dog, who had a tiger's head, there was also a whale's head and 2 sharks' heads. The rest of them were all small fry. All of them had arrogant expressions on their faces. To be able to rise to his current position, he must have defiled many young ladies. Hence, Lin Muyu's killing intent was instantly ignited. Wow! Suddenly, a chill spread out with Lin Muyu at the center. The Saint Realm quickly enveloped the surroundings, causing everyone to be speechless. He smiled at Lord Dog and raised his hand to push away the hand that was touching Tang Xiaoxi. Lord Dog, do you know who the girl you're about to take advantage of is? Under the pressure, Lord Dog's bald head was covered in sweat. He could barely speak and his voice was very hoarse. I don't know. Who are you? Lin Muyu gently lifted the gray robe in front of her chest. revealing a glittering golden purple een flower. She smiled and asked, "Do you recognize this?" The purple een flower was the emblem of the Qin family that only members of the royal family and the military could wear. The golden purple een flower was the emblem of the Qin family that could only be worn by deputy generals and kiliarchs. Behind the purple een flower, there was a golden six-pointed star for kiliarchs, 2 stars for captaincy and 3 stars for generals and generals. Although Lin Muyu didn't have any stars, having a golden purple een flower was enough to prove her identity. Lord Dog's body trembled. We don't have any other intentions." Lin Muyu's eyes turned cold. She smiled and said, "Bring me to see the dragon head." "Don't even think about it." Lord Dog growled. "Really?" Lin Muyu suddenly raised her hand and pulled out the star sword from her robe. The bright light illuminated the whole room. Her figure flashed and disappeared. In the blink of an eye, there was only a pile of corpses left in the room. Only Lord Dog and Zhou Xian were left from the Bronze Dagger Gang. They didn't even let out a scream during the process of killing. "Who exactly are you?" Lord Dog asked, his heart filled with despair. Tang Xiaoxi laughed. "He's a soldier of the Empire, and he's also someone who can wield the aura of a saint-level expert. How many high-ranking military officers in the Empire have reached the saint level, and how many of them are so young? Can't you guess?" Lord Dog's face turned even uglier. Could it be? Could it be wind, rain, thunder, and lightning? Lin Muyu smiled. "I'm Lin Muyu, ranked second in wind, rain, thunder, and lightning. Lord Dog, as long as you bring me to see the dragon head, I'll spare your life. Otherwise, I'll kill you and find other people from the Bronze Dagger Gang to see Lu Jun." "You..." Lord Dog's breathing was very rapid. The people outside didn't notice the change in the room. Even if they did, they would still die under Lin Muyu's sword if they rushed in. How could a motley crew be a match for a holy king? Moreover, the identity of the girl who came with Lin Muyu was even more suspicious. Looking at her incomparably calm appearance, her strength was probably not inferior to Lin Muyu's. For a moment, countless thoughts flew through Lord Dog's mind. In the end, he could only choose despair. The weak couldn't beat the strong. If he still wanted to cause trouble at this time, he would simply be seeking his own death. Sigh. After a sigh, Lord Dog said, "Could it be that Zetian Palace has already set their eyes on the Bronze Dagger Gang?" "It's not Zetian Palace. It's me who has set my eyes on the Bronze Dagger Gang." Lin Muyu said indifferently, "You guys go around robbing women. Your sins are so heavy. It's time for you to receive your retribution. Besides the dragon head Lu Jun, who else can do it? Other than me, there are 2 tiger heads, 9 whale heads. You just killed one. There are 17 lizard heads and even more leopard heads. How many people does the Bronze Dagger Gang have? I've already recorded them. There are nearly 7,000 of them." Lin Muyu's heart turned cold. She couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. There were so many people. How could she catch them all in one net? This group of people from the Bronze Dagger Gang wasn't as easy to deal with as Situ Sen's Heaven Execution Society. Most of the people from the Bronze Dagger Gang had killed people before. Moreover, each of them had a lot of sins. Lin Muyu didn't plan to let any of them go. If she didn't catch them all in one net, this operation would be considered a failure. "How can I see the dragon head?" Lin Muyu continued to ask. Lord Dog was a little dispirited and said, "My lord, we're just trading people to make a living. Please don't kill us all. Stop talking nonsense. I'm asking you, how can I see Lu Jun? Where is he?" "The dragon head, Stop hemming and hawing." Lin Muyu spread her hand and the king's battle flame danced fiercely. She said, "Lord Dog, do you think I can't bear to kill you?" Lord Dog's whole body trembled and his face became even paler. "The dragon head lives in a manor in the south of the city. He spent 700,000 gold coins to buy a manor from a high official half a year ago. He also bought many female slaves to keep in the manor for fun. In addition, the dragon head spent money to build a private army. It's also in the manor. There are about 3,000 soldiers with excellent equipment." "You should give up. 3,000 soldiers?" Lin Muyu smiled. "My brave dragon legion has 70,000 soldiers. Is it enough to encircle and annihilate him?" "You." At this moment, Lord Dog understood that Lin Muyu was determined to uproot the Copper Dagger Gang. He sighed and said, "My lord, if you can promise me one thing, I can help you." Speak. I have an old mother, 4 sons and 3 concubines. If I help you, you can't hurt them no matter what. Also, you must spare my life. Otherwise, I won't cooperate even if I have to fight to the death. I won't hurt the sinners. Don't worry. Can you tell me now? And if my lord wants to uproot the Copper Dagger Gang, you have to do it at noon the day after tomorrow. Because the day after tomorrow is the Dragon Head's birthday, he has invited many nobles of Longyan City to his manor. More than 80% of the Copper Dagger Gang's members will attend. As long as my lords surround the manor, you can capture them in one fell swoop. After saying this, Lord Dog softly slumped on the chair. It was as if these words had exhausted all his strength. He stared at Lin Muyu and said, "My lord, you can either not do it or you have to destroy the entire Copper Dagger Gang. I, Lord Dog, have done this kind of thing that will let the gang down. I don't want to be chased by the remaining people of the Copper Dagger Gang." "I understand. Don't worry." Lin Muyu took a deep breath. It seemed that she didn't need to meet the Dragon Head anymore. If she wanted to meet him, she could directly use force. In the wee hours of the morning, after dealing with Lord Dog's evidence, she summoned Wei Chou, Situ Sin and the rest and issued a secret order. The Longdan army camp quietly left the city during the night. Nearly 70,000 soldiers of the Longdan army camp were already outside the city. Bai Yin brought a group of people to control Lord Dog and waited for the Dragon Head Lu Jun's banquet the next day. When night fell, Lin Muyu also left the city and brought Tang Xiaoxi to set up camp in the Longdan army camp outside the city. Wei Chou, Situ Sin and the other captaincy of the Dragon's Courage Legion were all there. Each of them was filled with excitement. This time, the encirclement of the Copper Dagger Gang's manor could be said to be carrying out justice on behalf of the heavens. This group of righteous generals were filled with anticipation. Suddenly, the voice of a messenger came from outside the tent. "Commander, someone requests to see you." "Who is it?" "I don't know. It's a woman. She won't say, but she has the Empress's golden token." Tang Xiaoxi said, "Maybe it's Shengguan Jingyue." "I don't know. Let her in." After the tent's door was opened, a graceful beauty wearing a long robe walked in. After lifting the cloak, a beautiful face was revealed. She inhaled the aroma of the food in the tent and smiled. "Smells so good. Is there a share for me?" In an instant, Wei Chou, Situ Sin, Fengxi and the rest were scared out of their wits. They rolled away from the table, knelt on one knee on the carpet and said respectfully, "Greetings, Your Highness." The person who came was none other than Qin Yin. "Xiaoying, why are you here?" Lin Muyu smiled in surprise. Qin Yin pouted and said with some annoyance, "You're still talking about it? How could you not tell me about such a big commotion?" "Fortunately, little she told me. I've already received some information. Many of the people attending Lu Jun's banquet tomorrow are very difficult to deal with. Perhaps if I go with you, I'll be able to resolve a lot of unnecessary trouble." "That's good too. Come have supper with us." "Okay. If brother you didn't mention it, I would be embarrassed to take the initiative to eat." "Io, why are you so shy?" Lin Muyu looked at her teasingly. Qin Yin's pretty face turned even redder. She said to Qin Yen, who was behind her, "Ah Yen, bring people back to Zetian Palace Hall. Don't let anyone know that I'm not in Zetian Palace Hall. Do you understand?" Qin Yen placed his hand on the hilt of his sword and said hesitantly, "Cousin, you don't want me to follow the Longdan army camp to annihilate the Bronze Dagger Gang? No way. Quickly return to Zetian Palace Hall. Just treat it as helping cousin." "All right then. Men, leave 100 Imperial Guards to protect His Highness. The rest follow me back to Zetian Palace Hall." Chapter 569. It was close to noon and the warm winter sun shone unreservedly on the earth. Nearly 10 li south of Longyan City, between 2 small towns, a luxurious manor stood on the map of Longyan City. At this time, there was a continuous stream of carriages entering the manor. They were all nobles from Longyan City, and some of the carriages even had golden purple flowers embedded on the wheels. There were a total of 4 entrances to the manor. The main gate faced west, and 2 golden statues of goddesses glowed dazzlingly under the sun. These 2 statues were gilded, symbolizing wealth and nobility. Carriages entered one after another under the stone statues, and the owner was welcoming them. He was a man in his 30s, and although he looked like a rat, he wore a brocade robe embroidered with gold. He was the man who had once tried to kidnap Qin Yin in the dragon-seeking forest, Lu Jun, the chief of the Copper Dagger Gang. Several private soldiers in armor stood behind Lu Jun, long swords at their waists. Their expressions were ruthless, and even their smiles seemed very stiff in the face of a group of nobles. Perhaps they were more suited to an expression of anger. Gurgle. A carriage embroidered with tiger patterns entered the manor under the protection of nearly 100 guards. Lu Jun hurried forward with a face full of smiles, saying, "General Weiyun, welcome to my humble abode. I, Lu Jun, apologize for not going out to meet you." The curtain of the carriage was lifted, and a general with thick eyebrows and big eyes walked out. It was General Weiyuan Tang Xiao. As the son of Tang Lan's cousin, Tang Xiao had long since been promoted to a high position. As a second-ranked General Weiyuan, he could be considered to be famous in Lanyan City. He was in charge of nearly 30,000 troops from the Seven Seas City, and his name was known far and wide. Lord Lu Jun is too polite. Tang Xiao smiled faintly, saying, "Since it's Lord Lu Jun's birthday, how can the Seven Seas Tang sect not come to congratulate you? Unfortunately, His Highness the Seven Seas King is busy with official business and can't make it, so I, a lowly General Weiyuan, have come to congratulate you on his behalf. Men, bring Lord Lu Jun a birthday gift." A few soldiers quickly worked together to carry a huge wooden plank over. The things on the plank were covered with red cloth. Tang Xiao smiled and said, "My lord, don't you want to see what His Highness the Seven Seas King has prepared for you?" Lu Jun beamed with joy as he walked forward. After pulling off the red cloth, he discovered that it was a pai xiu made of gold. It weighed at least 100 pounds, which was already very valuable. Not to mention the carving was very detailed and lifelike, which made its value even more difficult to estimate. For a moment Lu Jun was grinning from ear to ear. "Your Highness is too polite. How can I enjoy this?" Tang Xiao laughed out loud. "Lord Lu Jun, there's no need to be so polite. We are in a cooperative relationship. The Seven Seas Monarch has a message for me to convey to you." "What?" "Recently, the demons and the Iha kingdom have been restless, and the survival of the empire is at stake. Therefore, His Highness has decided to expand the army and recruit the warriors in the province. This requires more provisions, weapons, salaries, and other materials. Therefore, His Highness the Seven Seas King has decided to increase the commission of all the restaurants, casinos, and workshops that the Tang family cooperates with you by 10%. I hope that Lord Lu Jun can consider the overall situation of the country." Why can't I?" Tang Xiao narrowed his eyes and asked with a smile. "Yes, of course. Since His Highness the Seven Seas King has spoken, it's a small matter. General, please report to His Highness that this additional 10% of income will be sent to the Seven Seas King's mansion from this month onwards. His Highness can rest assured." Good. Tang Xiao patted Lu Jun's shoulder and laughed. "Your Highness is far-sighted. You will definitely achieve great things in the future. Then, shall I go in and drink your birthday wine first? Please come in. Please come in." Looking at Tang Xiao's back, Lu Jun couldn't help but clench his fists. His face was livid as he whispered, "This group of vampires. It's not easy to do business, and they actually increased the commission." Sigh. A private army leader behind him said, "Boss, this can't be helped. How can we not bow our heads when we are under the low eaves? Half of Lanyan City is under the control of the Tang family. If the Tang family doesn't protect us, I'm afraid more than half of our shops can't be opened at all. This 10% of income can be considered as filling the appetite of the King of Hell. That's the only way." Lu Jun gritted his teeth and asked, "Are all the people from the 6 ministries here?" "The people from the Ministry of Rights, the Ministry of Appointments, the Ministry of Revenue, and the Ministry of Justice are all here. Basically, they are all officials with the rank of assistant minister. However, the people from the Ministry of War and the Ministry of Works are still nowhere to be seen. Last month, the Minister of War, Xueling, chose 3 maids from us to be his concubines. Don't worry. We have him under our control. It's impossible that he won't come." A boss is wise. In less than a few minutes, the neighing of war horses could be heard from outside the manor. The people from the Ministry of War had indeed arrived. Moreover, there were nearly 200 of them. The person who was wearing battle armor was the Minister of War, Xueling. He actually came to offer his birthday congratulations in person. Lu Jun hurriedly stepped forward, cupped his fists and laughed. "The minister's presence brings light to my humble abode. You really give me too much face. Please come in. Xue Ling held the reins and did not dismount from his horse. He spurred his horse and led his entourage into the manor. When he passed by Lu Jun, he turned to look at him and said with a smile, "Boss Lu, what a grand show of extravagance. Such a birthday banquet is probably comparable to a noble's birthday." "Ah, Minister, what are you talking about? Please come in, please come in." Watching Xue Ling leave, Lu Jun's expression became even uglier. The leader of the private army behind him said angrily, "What an arrogant and conceited Xue Ling. He didn't even dismount from his horse. He doesn't take us seriously at all." Lu Jun turned around and looked at him coldly. "He is the Minister of War with hundreds of thousands of soldiers and horses. We are the underworld ruffians of Lanyan City. Why should he take us seriously? Correct your attitude. We are businessmen. We get rich through harmony. Don't fight with others for a moment of pride." "Yes, I understand." Lu Jun turned around and looked at the road outside the manor. He said, "The people from the Ministry of Works probably won't come. I don't have much of a relationship with the Minister of Works, Yang He. It's almost time. Boss, let's go into the main hall to prepare for the birthday ceremony. Don't let the guests wait too long." "Okay, let's go." The extravagance of the manor's main courtyard was in no way inferior to that of the Zetian Palace. Qilin patterns were engraved on the huge pillars, and ancient patterns were engraved on the surface of the pillars. The patterns were glimmering, and only when the guests got closer to take a look did they discover that those patterns were actually all sorts of valuable precious gems that were embedded on the stone pillars. The wealth of the Bronze Dagger Gang had already reached the point where it could rival half a province. The main hall was very spacious. Young girls in faintly discernible gauze dresses walked through the crowd with plates of fruits and wine. These young girls were at least above average in beauty. The Copper Dagger Gang made its fortune through human trafficking. Naturally, they had no shortage of beautiful women. The fertile land of the Qin Empire had produced countless beautiful women. Now they were brought to a place like this. They were dressed in revealing clothes and allowed the guests to grope them, but they didn't dare to resist at all. Lu Jun slowly walked into the main hall with a wine cup in his hand. He smiled and said, "Everyone, please be quiet." When the host spoke, the crowd quieted down from the noise. Lu Jun continued, "Everyone, I am sincerely grateful that you could attend my birthday in the midst of your busy schedule. As a token of appreciation, everyone who enters the hall today can choose one of your mates to take with them." Instantly, the hall was filled with jubilation. Many guests were already drooling over the maids beside them. Now that Lu Jun said such a thing, it was simply too extravagant. Thus, many people began to fight over the maids beside them. The banquet began and everyone took their seats. The Ministry of War's Minister Xue Ling, General Weiyuan Tang Xiao, Su family's commander Su Long and the others were arranged to sit at the same table. They were accompanied by Lu Jun personally. After 3 rounds of wine, everyone looked drunk. At this time, a member of the Tiger Head Gang with a copper dagger on his waist walked in and whispered into Lu Jun's ear, "Dragon Head, something bad has happened. There are traces of the Empire's army on the main road. All of them are cavalry and there are people in all 4 directions of the manor." "What?" Lu Jun trembled. "Which army is it? Don't they know that the Ministry of War's minister is here?" It's Lin Muyu's Valiant Dragon Corps. How many people are here?" "Too many to count." The Tiger Head Bronze Dagger Gang member's face was ashen. "Boss, do we need to use our private army to protect the manor? Soldiers are trained for 1,000 days to be used in a single moment." "Protect the manor?" Lu Jun sneered. "Do you plan to use that motley crew to block the Empire's official army? Then what should we do? Let me think." Lu Jun looked at everyone at the banquet and suddenly cupped his fists. "Lords and generals, this lowly one has a presumptuous request." Xue Ling smiled slightly. "Boss Lu, please speak your mind." Lu Jun said, "One of the armies stationed at Lanyan City, the Valiant Dragon Corps, is approaching this lowly one's manor with ill intentions. This lowly one is a proper businessman. If Commander Yu wants to make things difficult, please help this lowly one." "Lin Mu is here?" Xue Ling gritted his teeth. "Let's see what he says when he arrives." "Boss Lu, don't panic." "Yes, thank you, Lord Minister." Tang Xiao, Su Long and the rest all stood up. Hearing that Lin Muyu had brought the Longdan army camp over, they immediately sobered up. The heavy and concentrated sound of hooves could be heard from outside the manor's hall, and not long after, the sound of footsteps on marble could be heard. A group of generals from the valiant Dragon Corps walked in with a dense group of soldiers. Lin Muyu was dressed in a white royal forest armor and walked at the front, followed by Tang Xiaoxi, Wei Chou, Situ Xin, Situ Shui and the rest. Behind them was a group of soldiers with long bows in their hands, the white diamond arrows glinting in the sunlight. Lu Jun did not even see the person clearly before he rushed forward and knelt on one knee, his voice trembling. This lowly citizen Lu Jun pays his respects to Commander Yu. May I know why Commander Yu has brought so many soldiers to my humble abode today? First raise your head and look at me. Lin Muyu's voice was indescribably calm. Lu Jun raised his head. The more he looked at this kid, the more familiar he felt. He murmured, You are, have you forgotten about Du Yiming? And that girl you wanted to knock out in the middle of the night? Don't tell me you've forgotten everything about Chapter 2? Lu Jun stumbled back on the marble floor as if he had seen a ghost. How can it be you? How can it be you? Chapter 570. Whoosh. Lin Muyu shook her hand, and a golden scroll appeared in front of everyone. She said, Her Highness the Empress has issued an edict yesterday to abolish the concubine system in the imperial barracks. Forcible human trafficking is prohibited in the empire. The Copper Dagger Gang is suspected of trafficking and abducting the citizens of the empire. All of them will be arrested. Anyone who dares to disobey will be killed on the spot. Lu Jun's face was ashen. He hurriedly looked at Xueling and Tang Xiao. The Copper Dagger Gang's business network in Lanyan City was too big. It involved almost all fields. If the Zine Flower Chamber of Commerce and the Dragon Chamber of Commerce controlled the economic lifeline of Lanyan City, then the Copper Dagger Gang controlled the entire black market. The Copper Dagger Gang paid nearly 10 million jinyin to the Seven Seas Palace every month and bribed the Minister of War Xueling with millions of jinyin. They couldn't just sit back and do nothing. Tang Xiao slowly walked forward and put his hand on the hilt of the sword at his waist. He smiled and said, Commander Yu, let's talk it over. We have always been observing the Copper Dagger Gang's business. They are honest businessmen. All the slaves have contracts signed by the Ministry of Revenue and the local government. It is in line with the Empire's laws. They are not human trafficking. I hope Commander you can understand. Is that so? Lin Muyu raised her eyebrows and pointed at Tang Xiaoxi behind her. She said, 2 nights ago Princess Shi passed by the old district of Lanyan City alone. She was almost drugged and taken away by the Copper Dagger Gang. The evidence is conclusive. Is General Wei Yuan trying to defend the Copper Dagger Gang? Tang Xiao looked at Tang Xiaoxi in shock. After all, Tang Xiaoxi was his niece, so he couldn't say much. Seeing that Tang Xiao was silent, Xueling stood up and said, The Bronze Dagger Gang is such a big gang, so it's inevitable that there will be some scums. Commander Yu, don't forget that the businesses of the Bronze Dagger Gang are approved by the government, including the Mansion of the Seven Seas and the Mansion of the Cloud King. If you arrest the Bronze Dagger Gang, it's equal to arrest the 2 kings. Lin Muyu, you're just a person whose title and military rank have been taken away. What right do you have to touch the 2 kings' people? Su Long from the Su family also walked over, cupped his fists and said, Commander Yu, this matter is of great importance. I hope that you can give face to the Tang family, the Su family and the Ministry of War. The Empress's imperial edict is very clear. As long as there is a contract of sale, it is not illegal. The Copper Dagger Gang's business has always had a contract of sale as proof. Really? Lin Muyu folded her arms and said, The department that signed the indenture in Lanyan City seems to be the Population Department of the Ministry of Revenue. Someone help me find out who the Assistant Minister of the Population Department is. There's no need to find out. Wei Chou said respectfully, It's Wang Bi. Lin Muyu nodded and said, Immediately send a letter to Xiao Han and the Fire Sparrow Department to arrest Wang Bi. Find out how he personally approved these indentures. Yes. Xueling's face became more and more livid. He said in a low voice, Lin Muyu, don't go too far. Lanyan City is the capital. Do you think you can cover the sky with one hand? Wang Bi is an assistant minister of the Ministry of Revenue. Do you think you can arrest him just because you say so? Lin Muyu laughed and said, Is that so? Then what if she wants to arrest him? He gently stepped aside. Behind him in a loose white robe, Qin Yin, wearing the Empress's golden crown, stood there quietly. Her beautiful eyes were like water as she looked at the group of rebels. She faintly said, "Do I have this qualification?" "Your Highness." Xueling, Sulong, Tangxiao and the others' faces instantly turned ashen. They knew that Lin Muyu's arrival was already a big trouble, but when they found out that Qin Yin was also here, they knew that this matter was irreversible and Lu Jun was beyond redemption. "It's actually you." Lu Jun stared at Qin Yin dumbfounded. He had picked countless flowers in his life and had an outstanding memory for women's appearances. With just one look he could recognize that Qin Yin was the girl that he failed to get his hands on that night a few years ago. At this moment Xueling, Sulong, Tangxiao and the other imperial officials all knelt on the ground and shouted, "Your subject greets your highness." In an instant Lu Jun's face almost cracked. How could he have imagined that the girl he tried to take advantage of that night was actually the empress of the empire? If he had known, he would never have done such a thing. Qin Yin looked at the crowd and said indifferently, "The Copper Dagger Gang violated the law by forcibly selling people. Now that the investigation has been carried out, everyone in the Copper Dagger Gang will be executed. I want to see how many people in Great Qin still dare to break the law knowingly. Minister of Population, don't use your power for personal gain. After the investigation you will be executed immediately." The Minister of War Xueling colluded with the Copper Dagger Gang. Men, immediately remove his gold insignia and remove his position. Let Feng Jixing hold the position of Minister of War. Wei Chou walked forward and removed all the military insignia from Xueling's collar and shoulders. Before leaving he didn't forget to pat Xueling's shoulder and smiled faintly without saying anything. Xueling was scared out of his wits. He knelt on the ground and trembled. Tangxiao and Sulong were so scared that their faces turned pale. They didn't even raise their heads as they knelt on the ground. However, Qin Yin didn't punish them in any way. It was as if she didn't see them at all. She only smiled at Lin Muyu and said, I will return to Zetian Palace Hall first. You will be in charge of this place. Remember to come to Zetian Palace Hall and accompany me for dinner." "Yes, Your Highness." Qin Yin was protected by a group of Imperial Guards and Longdan Army Camp's elite soldiers as she walked out of the hall. Meanwhile, Lin Muyu had to face a group of trembling guests and the Copper Dagger Gang members. "Men, arrest everyone in the Copper Dagger Gang. If anyone dares to resist, kill them without mercy." This time, Lin Muyu mobilized more than 30,000 soldiers from the Longdan Army Camp. It was more than enough to take down a motley crew like the Copper Dagger Gang. The Copper Dagger Gang members didn't dare to resist and all of them surrendered. "Lord Commander." Fengxi walked out from the inner hall. Behind him was a group of soldiers carrying boxes. After opening the boxes, it was impressively stacks of indentures. Fengxi said, "We found these in the back hall." "Indentures?" Lin Muyu smiled and said, "Burn them all." Yes. The fire was ignited. This time the indentures of indentures were burned to ashes. The faces of Lu Jun and the others were full of heartache. These indentures were basically women and these women could be sold for a high price. In their eyes, these indentures were worth a lot of money. Situ Sin cupped his fist and said, "Commander, we have captured a total of 5,472 members of the Copper Dagger Gang and nearly 3,000 private soldiers of the Copper Dagger Gang. How should we deal with these people? What does General Sin think is the best way to deal with them?" "Needless to say, kill them all. This daddy hates these kind of human traffickers the most. If you think that killing them will wear out your sword, then dig a big hole and bury them alive." Hearing this, Lu Jun and the others hurriedly knelt on the ground and begged for mercy. At the side, Situ Shui pursed her red lips and said, "Lord, I think these few thousand people should be directly banished into the army and trained into pawns. At least they can block a few attacks from the demon race in the Iha kingdom." "No." Lin Muyu looked deeply at Situ Shui and said with a smile, "This group of heartless beasts will not block the enemy's swords for us. They will only bite back at us at the critical moment. Not everyone is worthy of forgiveness and tolerance. Someone push all the members of the Copper Dagger Gang out of the manor and execute them. Those who came to celebrate Lu Jun's birthday must be present to see the execution." Yes. Xueling, Tangxiao, Sulong and the others were even more shocked. No one would have thought that Lin Muyu would be so ruthless. On the other hand, Situ Sin cupped his fists and said, "Commander, there is no need for you to be the executioner. I, Situ Sin, have also done many bad things in my previous life. Just leave the killing to me. Go. Lin Muyu turned around and mounted her horse. She rode out of the manor to watch the execution. Wei Chou followed closely behind. The cold wind outside blew their cloaks. Wei Chou narrowed his eyes and said in a low voice, "Lord, this subordinate has something to say, but I don't know if I should say it." "Speak." When the former emperor conferred Lord as one of the 4 heroes of Lanyan, he praised Lord for being a benevolent general. "But, if Lord is a benevolent general, why did you order the execution of nearly 10,000 captives? The imperial army will not kill captives." "Wei Chou, do you think I have changed?" Lin Muyu lowered her head. The cold wind was like a knife blowing on her face. It was a little painful. Wei Chou said, "This subordinate just don't understand why Lord is doing this." Then I will tell you." Lin Muyu looked at the Bronze Dagger Gang members who were lined up in the distance to be executed and said, "These people are willing to do anything for money. The humanity in their hearts has long been extinguished. If I spare their lives, the seeds of revenge in their hearts will continue to grow and grow. They will dream of revenge and will collude with our enemies to take revenge on us and Longdan army camp. I would rather see all their heads fall to the ground than see any of our brothers in Longdan army camp die under the swords of these despicable people." Wei Chou was relieved and said, "Lord doesn't need to say more. Wei Chou understands you." Lin Muyu couldn't help but smile. She reached out and patted Wei Chou's shoulder and said, "The most terrible kind of people in the world are those who are too kind. Being kind to the enemy is being cruel to yourself. This sentence is never wrong. Moreover, I hate human traffickers the most in my life. The Bronze Dagger Gang has made many fathers lose their daughters. Many children lose their mothers. Many husbands lose their wives. They deserve to die." "Yes." Ka ka ka. Blood splattered everywhere. More than 8,000 heads piled up on the ground outside the manor in the blink of an eye. Su Long and Tang Xiao were both people who had experienced the Battle of the Steel Wall, but they still felt a chill in their hearts when they saw this kind of massacre. Lin Muyu, who was one of the 4 greats of Lanyan, had unknowingly grown into a famous general who was as brave and courageous as Feng Jixing. If they were to become their enemies, it would be their misfortune. Chapter 571. Winter nights always came very early. Wugu City was already shrouded in the night and the lanterns were lit. The city that had suffered a disaster had finally recovered some of its original prosperity in the past few years. The original population of Wugu City was less than 500,000. Under the continuous attraction of people from various states and counties of Songnan province, it had recovered to the scale of nearly 1.5 million people this winter. At night, the streets were bustling with people and there was an endless stream of merchants. City Lord's Mansion. Several bleak jujube trees were planted around the backyard of the City Lord's Mansion. As the cold wind blew past, the jujube trees made a rustling sound. A few of the brittle, withered branches finally couldn't endure the winter and fell to the ground with a crackling sound. Su Jiantao sat on a stone bench in the courtyard, carefully wiping the long sword in his hand with a piece of cloth. The body of the sword glowed with a faint golden light, which was the luster of engraved characters. This was a long sword with a low-grade earthly tome embryo, and it had just been sent from Lanyan City not long ago. Su Jiantao knew that this was Lin Muyu's masterpiece. Only the talented foster son of the former emperor could make such a perfect work. A mysterious grade weapon, a level 4 engraving and a low-grade earthly tome embryo. How rare was it? And this long sword, which might not even have a second one in Lanyan City, was now in his hands. After wiping the long sword, Su Jiantao strode to the center of the courtyard, concentrated his qi, and in the blink of an eye, a luster of dou qi extended from his body. The next moment the cold sword light was a set of swordsmanship. At the same time his body was enshrouded with a faint golden luster, which was the sign of the Vajra protection technique's 3rd heavenly realm. On the side a guard said with a smile, "Governor, your Vajra protection technique should be able to reach the 4th heavenly realm soon, right? The governor's martial arts comprehension is also one of the best in the entire empire." Su Jiantao couldn't help but laugh. "Don't talk nonsense. Lord Commander stepped into the Saint Realm at the age of 26. This kind of cultivation can be counted on one's fingers. I'm still far away from him, having grown so many years older. How can he be compared to Lord Commander? He is a rare genius that only appears once in 1,000 years. Otherwise, the former emperor wouldn't have accepted him as his godson. Look, Commander Feng Jixing and Commander Chu Huayin have followed the former emperor for many years, but the former emperor didn't accept them as his godson. The former emperor's eyes are like torches, there's no need to mention this. That's right, the former emperor saw through everything. Su Jiantao sighed and looked up, only to see a branch of a jujube tree falling from the sky, heading straight for his head. However, when it was less than 5 centimeters away from his head, it encountered the Vajra body fortification aura shield and immediately shattered into pieces. These annoying date trees. The imperial bodyguard said, tomorrow this subordinate will order someone to chop them down. No need. Su Jiantao smiled. Keep it. What's the use of keeping them? One day we will grow old and have children around our knees. At that time, every late autumn, we can harvest dates to make our children happy. Isn't that a wonderful thing? Lord Governor is right. This general has learned something. How is the situation in Lanyan City? There's no big movement. The imperial bodyguard said respectfully. Su Jiantao sat back on the stone bench and wiped the sweat on his forehead. He said, when will the people who went to the steel wall come back? How's the preparation of the supplies for the steel wall? The imperial bodyguard said, they should be back tomorrow morning. The supplies are almost ready. It's enough to feed and clothe 100,000 people for half a month. Governor, our Tsangnan province spends so many supplies every month to supply the steel wall, but we don't get any reward. Doesn't Lord Governor feel wronged? To be able to block the iron hooves of the demon race, what else is there to feel wronged? At this moment a cold aura suddenly surged. Not good. Su Jiantao hurriedly unsheathed his sword and shouted, summon the sword guards. What's wrong? The imperial bodyguard turned pale with fright. Above his head, a cold murderous intent surged. It was an assassin with a long sword in his hand. His whole body was overflowing with a frosty aura. A deep blue icy aura suddenly fell, blasting straight at Su Jiantao's head. This sword aura was shockingly strong. Su Jiantao instantly knew that his protective aura would not be able to withstand it. Without hesitation he reached to his waist and pulled out a short dagger. The dagger flashed and a rich yellow light soared into the sky. Snowflakes fluttered around it, instantly condensing a huge ice shield in front of the dagger. Mid-grade Earth Book Embryo. Ice Shield Technique. The assassin's sword aura bombarded the ice shield. Under the collision of strength, Su Jiantao stumbled back. The light on the dagger dimmed in the blink of an eye. A mid-grade Earth Book could only block an easy blow from the opponent. Go to hell. The assassin's handsome face was slightly twisted. Blood-red Grandmaster demonic chi danced wildly around his body. As the long sword slashed down, Su Jiantao had no way of dodging this attack. It was too fast. No matter how fast Su Jiantao ran, he would not be able to dodge it at all. The blade in his hand trembled rapidly. The low-grade Earth Book was activated. Su Jiantao felt as if all the strength in his body was about to be sucked dry. Suddenly his body began to split apart. In the blink of an eye, his body reformed tens of meters behind him. Low-grade Earth Book of the Law of Space. Shwa shwa shwa. Numerous cold arrows shot out from the mansion. A dozen or so Longdan army camp soldiers with swords hanging from their waists and crossbows in their hands appeared. The arrows were blocked by the assassin in the air. Under the moonlight, the assassin's handsome face looked very much like a person. Lin Muyu. Furthermore, the blade in his hand was glowing with faint starlight. This made Su Jiantao and the rest very confused. Could this person be the murderer who assassinated Tang Lu and Tang Tian? The only difference was that this person did not hide his identity as a demon. The Grandmaster demonic chi and demonic battle energy danced chaotically. With a long sword in hand, he descended from the sky with a powerful aura wrapped around his body. Bang! The mansion that was tens of meters tall was instantly turned into dust. The 3 Longdan army camp soldiers were unable to move. When the sword flashed past, they were already dismembered. Use the Heaven Book to form the formation. Su Jiantao shouted. Everyone dispersed. The long swords in the hands of the 3 guards flew up into the sky. It was the middle-grade Heaven Book of the Law of Fire. Bai Bing's body was surrounded by a thick frost cyclone. She could not help but sneer. What kind of stupid Heaven Book is this? I'm not afraid. Bring as many as you have. Release. Su Jiantao shouted in a low voice. In an instant the 3 middle-grade heaven books with the words, "Fire God extinguishes the world," were activated together. Countless flames rained down from the sky and swept away the frost around Bai Bing. Only now did Bai Bing sense the might of these 3 heavenly tomes, and it was far from something that the heavenly book of the laws of fire in Tang Lu's possession could compare to. The strands of flame energy bore into his body from every pore and burned the spirit energy within his meridians, causing the layer of ice on his body to shatter and melt inch by inch. In the blink of an eye, the armor before his chest had turned completely red and was swiftly melting. My God! At this time Bai Bing finally felt fear. A piece of skin on his right arm had already been burnt. Waves of heart-wrenching pain came from all over his body. Bastard! Bai Bing endured the immense pain and slashed out a frost sword chi. Pooh! A Longdan army camp soldier holding a heaven book embryonic sword was immediately slashed in half. He did not even have the time to scream before he died. Release the arrows. Su Jiantao ordered in a loud voice. More and more soldiers rushed over from the mansion. The densely packed white drill arrows danced in the air. In the blink of an eye, Bai Bing's chest and arms were already pierced by at least 7 to 8 arrows. However, the arrows did not penetrate too deeply into his flesh. They did not even injure his bones or internal organs. The body of a 5-star demon sect powerhouse had been tempered countless times. It was really too tyrannical. Bai Bing was full of shame and anger. He originally thought that he could perform a miraculous feat and kill Su Jiantao here. However, he did not expect that he would be defeated by the heaven book. He raised his palm and layers of frost formed a whirlwind that blocked the white drill arrows. When the frost storm dissipated, everyone could not see Bai Bing's figure anymore. This 5-star demon sect powerhouse had already escaped. Su Jiantao held the long sword with a dim light. This long sword of space law allowed him to directly teleport once and also saved his life. He stepped on the broken bricks and walked towards the courtyard. Looking at the mess on the ground, Su Jiantao could not help but secretly sigh. There were so many people and so many embryonic heaven books, but they still could not kill this demon clan assassin. Governor, the guard at the side said bitterly, we lost 7 people. Got it. Su Jiantao looked up to the sky and sighed. The demon clan has already targeted me. It's all my fault for letting everyone follow me to take such a risk. Governor, don't say that. We are soldiers of the Empire. We can die for the Empire at any time. It's better to die in battle here than to wait for death in Lanyan City. I know. Send a letter to Lanyan City and tell Commander Yu everything that happened today. Yes. 3 days later in Lanyan City, a letter arrived at the commander's tent in the Longdan army camp. It seems that the demon clan really have their eyes on Su Jiantao. Lin Muyu slapped the letter on the table with some irritation and said, forget about the 2 Wangfu scheming against us, but the demon clan also came. Situ Sen and Wei Chou pulled the letter over together and looked at each other in dismay. Situ Shui only took a glance and knew what had happened. She smiled gently and said, Darren, Su Jiantao is guarding Songnan province and providing troops food and combat materials for the steel wall. He has long been a thorn in the demon clan's eyes. If I am the commander of the demon clan, I will first get rid of Su Jiantao and then attack the steel wall. Lin Muyu was startled. If using General Shui's deduction, does it not mean that the demon clan will soon make a comeback? Situ Shui was surprised. I just said it unintentionally. Darren, is there really such a possibility? Wei Chou asked. The demon clan has been dormant for 7 months. It is reasonable to say that they are indeed unable to hold back.